Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини, та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великої страни.
Найкращий пастух баранячий хотар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Ті, хто води всяке озброєння різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на ордів образу з російських бандитів. Робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить. Хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар? Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ. Тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар.
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 Yes.
The Leaf Spring Army sends its regards.
Русский военный корабль. Предлагаю сложить оружие и сдаться. Русский военный корабль, иди нахуй.
Слушайте!
Hello, everyone. I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to day 776 of the news. And it's good to see you all once again. And as always, we got some big news to cover today, and it's good to see you all once again.
And of course, we're going to be covering the past 48 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine, as major news has been coming out. And I cannot say this enough. Major news has been coming out about Ukrainian deep strikes on the Russian Air Force and the Russian Navy, which may be leading the Russian Air Force and Navy to be greatly destabilized or greatly weakened in their efforts to protect Russian interests and security around the globe. Particularly, we were able to hear that just a few hours ago, Ukrainian drones struck the Russian training field at Voronezh Oblast, meaning that the Russian Top Gun fighter pilot school is now knocked out of action from what we understand. We've also been able to hear of a Ukrainian covert strike happening near to the area of Kaliningrad in Baltsk, knocking out a small Russian missile frigate that was based out of the naval harbor at Baltsk. It has been a massive 48 hours as far as the news coverage has been going, and we got to get into it, because if y'all do not know, usually there is a minimum amount of news that we have to have in a night to be able to make a live stream, and there's also a maximum amount that we usually have, and that number lies somewhere in between 25 to 30 news bulletins. Tonight we have approximately 37 to 40 news bulletins inside of the stream tonight, so it's going to be a very lengthy news segment because so much has happened inside of Ukraine, and also we've been getting sporadic updates of the ongoing situation inside of the Middle East, which we will also be covering tonight as well. But moving on into the major news, inside of the city of Voronezh Oblast, the Russian Top Gun school, I'm not even kidding, it's their equivalent in Russia of the Top Gun fighter pilot school, was knocked out of action for the Russian Air Force today. I'm going to be taking y'all here to show y'all this little airfield, which is based inside of the city of Voronezh Oblast. You can actually see the airfield right here, and ever since early Soviet times in the 1920s and 30s, Voronezh Oblast has served as a Russian Air Force or training school for pilots that are planning on getting into the Russian Air Force, or earlier on, the Soviet Air Force. During the times of the Soviet Union, some of the Soviet Union's best fighter aircraft in terms of their modernity, such as the MiG-21, the MiG-29, and other kinds of incredibly advanced fighter aircraft, at least for the Soviet Union, were brought here for Russia's aspiring and shining stars of brilliance as far as their fighter pilots go, for them to train even further on these aircraft and to try and become far more proficient. The specific unit that conducts this training is the 160th Tactical Training Regiment of the Russian Air Force, which conducts training operations still to this day and was founded in the Soviet Union back in the 1930s. Even after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the dismissal of a large amount of training units that were at this airfield, the 160th still continues to train Russian fighter pilots on their job and how to conduct it as proficiently as possible. This means that the airbase always has an existing complement of Yak-131s, which you can actually see out here on the tarmac, that are used exclusively for training purposes for these pilots. Training of pilots, especially during wartime, is a massive priority, especially considering that Russian pilot attrition has actually been quite high compared to what was seen during the times of the Gulf War and other conflicts where air losses were seen. The Russians always need new and slightly experienced pilots to be able to take over the reins of brand new Russian aircraft that are being brought into service in very limited numbers, or to try and take over the positions of pilots who have now since died in the war in Ukraine, and to try and take their spot in actual fighting units. To show y'all a little bit more about this training unit, I need to show y'all the Yak-130, which is the specific aircraft that is used at this airfield to conduct training. Many of y'all will notice that it looks like a very stubby, very small fighter aircraft, and that's the exact philosophy behind its design. It is, of course, a training aircraft, so its armaments are quite limited compared to your normal aircraft, such as the MiG-29, the Su-27, the Su-34, or the Su-24, or any of those other aircraft, but nevertheless, this is a very agile aircraft that is meant to simulate the kind of conditions, or at least the kind of maneuverability, that these pilots will be able to receive once they move on to their actual aircraft, which will be Su-27s, Su-35s, MiG-29s, and the like. These aircraft are incredibly coveted inside of Russia as well, considering that the Yak-130s are fairly new. The first one's being produced not too long ago, back in 2010. There's only about 214 of these things in the world, and it's not just the Russians that operate them. There's a fairly extensive list of countries that have taken on the Yak-130 as their training aircraft. Nevertheless, footage came out from last night showing drone attacks hitting the airfield and possibly destroying the Yak-130s that were out on the tarmac, or destroying the base facilities and completely stopping training either way. Here's the clip of the first drone attack video that we have. When you see the ground air defense firing up in the sky, and the first hit lighting up the surrounding area.
They hit that one good.
Oh, solidly. Then moving on,
it died down pretty quick too.
Oh yeah,
it was very dramatic. Then it just went dead.
Dude, the Russians saw that thing blow up, and then they went, "Bleh! Ceasefire." They're like, "Let's just give up, ceasefire." But we can also see right here the sound of a drone flying in to Voronezh Oblast, and we now hear the ground air defense. And also, y'all may notice the ground air defense sounds to be nothing more than AK-74s that have been pointed upwards into the sky by maybe base security, and they're trying to fire at the drone as it's coming in. So there is no air defense, like proper air defense as we would think about it, around this airfield. Even older variants of air defense are non-existent. And there's the sound of the explosion we saw on the security camera a second ago. Apparently the cop was very surprised. And that clip ends. But we have additional footage as well showing the pilot training center being hit again. Here's the clip. This is once again security camera footage like the last angle, but it's a duplicate. Because what's very important is that we can actually kind of geolocate this a little bit now that we have this clip up in front of us again, because we know that it's aimed towards the direction of Voronezh Oblast airfield. But where specifically? So, if we look at this footage before the explosion illuminates the night sky, actually let's look at it after it illuminates the night sky, and then it dies down. There's some kind of a larger building here, and there's some allotment buildings in front of this house where this camera is filming. Based off of this, we can assume that the larger building might be what appears to be the school that looks somewhat like a prison, and they're looking straight at the airfield from this direction. If we can find the allotment buildings, we'll be in the money. And there, that looks like, well, actually, no, that's not really the allotment buildings we're looking for exactly, but they're somewhere in this area. So it does appear that the camera angle was from the very eastern side of Voronezh Oblast, somewhere in this area on this strip of buildings, looking past the school being this building that we saw right here possibly, and then looking towards the airfield, showing that the explosion could have happened at one of several places. Either it could have happened at this maintenance facility right here, which would knock out the airfield if it was hit. It could have also come from the base buildings over here, that there's really no base buildings to speak of, actually. Or it was directly in line with the tarmac and ended up knocking out a Yak-130 or several Yak-130s in the explosion, depending on where these aircraft were at the moment. Beyond that, it is absolutely wild to see that a Ukrainian attack has so successfully gone all the way into Russia again, past Voronezh, so this attack was around 270 miles, 300 miles in distance, and hit the Russian Top Gun fighter pilot training school for the most part. You would think.
Man, I guess you could say the Russian Top Guns went to bottom gun real fast. And to be honest with you, they were really never Top Gun. Like, the Russian pilots suck. The only thing they have over the Ukrainians is they have more aircraft than the Ukrainian Air Force, but like it's not good on the front of actual training. They suck.
They really do suck. And I would have to say, Matthew, that the Top Gun guys got outgunned by the Ukrainians, because it looks like they weren't even prepared at all, and it doesn't look like there was any air defense around the airfield either. It is wild to see how undefended Russian assets are inside the Russian Federation, both on the military level and also on the more so just general commercial or civilian level, there is practically no air defense to speak of that is inside of the Russian Federation. And we've actually gotten a shocking announcement today about Russian air defense and what the Russian Federation plans on doing in the future to protect its nation against incoming Ukrainian attacks, which are starting to critically destroy vital Russian infrastructure for the military and for the war industry, and they're starting to pose serious issues. The Russians have decided that you're on your own and it's every man for themselves. I'm not even kidding. That's the announcement that came out today from the Russian Interior Ministry. They said, according to this, it's everyone's business. Business gets involved in ensuring the security of its infrastructure. And the entire
so that's code word for we're not going to protect you. It's up to you. It's like you're on your own.
Dude, that is code word for you probably wish the Wagner was still around, because at least the Wagner would have some AKs to aim upwards into the sky, because we got nothing for you. That is sad. That is pitiful. These guys are being left completely on their own. The oil refinery companies, it's a wash. No air defense for you. They're not even going to try and move air defense towards them. Russian airfields, it's a wash. Best of luck. If you get hit, you get hit. That's unfortunate. Anything inside of Russia, it's a wash. Just best of luck to you. Hope you don't die. But the Russian government is not there to help you out whatsoever. You may as well be dead already if a Ukrainian attack is coming your way. Whether it be the oil refineries, forget making money again. The airfields, forget flying again. If it's the Navy, forget sailing again. Everything is a target, and the Russian government means that they are not going to divert any additional resources or any manpower into the interior of Russia to protect their people, or really their resources for that matter, more so. And that is something that is very interesting and very telling, because it lets us know that the Russians are completely strapped for air defense so badly that there is no air defense to really move around inside of Russia. All of it's already inside of Ukraine, and if they were to start trying to bring air defense back into Russia, they would be stripping the front lines of the already sparsely populated air defenses that they have at the moment. And it's starting to really show that not even is it just the normal air defenses that are non-existent, it's really just security in general that is non-existent inside of Russia. And that brings us all the way over to the little enclave of Russia that exists in former East Prussia, which is the Kaliningrad Oblast. This is the upper half of East Prussia that the Soviet Union took from the German, from Nazi Germany at the end of World War II. The remainder of East Prussia, which you can still actually see here outlined as a Polish, I believe it's a province inside of Poland, or a district inside of Poland, was actually partitioned off to Poland at the end of the war, along with other large parts of the remainder of Germany. But beyond that fact, what is very interesting in Kaliningrad is that there is a small Russian naval base that exists here on this little peninsula called Baltijsk. Baltijsk is a small naval yard that has a large amount of the Russian Navy inside of it. And when we look around, we can actually see some floating dry docks. We can also see what appears to be a small Russian surveillance vessel here in this part of the harbor. We can also see some patrol vessels here. Moving further into the harbor, we can even see a small little ship right here. And this one we actually believe is the one that may have been targeted and hit. It was being pulled out in the satellite picture by some tugs, but we believe that this is a Serpukov small missile frigate, which is a very interesting thing to note, and I'll explain why in a second. But nevertheless, you can see the remainder of the Russian fleet, or the Russian flotilla, that is inside of the small harbor at Baltijsk, and this pretty much serves as Kaliningrad's, or the southern Baltic fleet for the Russian Navy. But we have to move on to the straight-up juice. Ukrainian special operatives somehow made it out of Ukraine, through Europe, then into Kaliningrad, somehow, into the city of Kaliningrad, then past Kaliningrad, and around a major highway to Primorsk, then got on a truck or a bus or drove their own car straight down to Baltijsk, which is a small town, but it's also a naval yard as well, near to the harbor, and then they got on a Russian ship, the Serpukov, and ended up burning out the computer systems inside of it. It was probably one of the most daring and daunting sabotage missions that Ukrainian special forces have ever conducted so far in this war. And they did it. And they even have the video footage to prove it. So I'm going to be showing y'all the clip. And then I'll be showing y'all the vessel. So that is actually like a 3D rendering of the vessel. The vessel does not look that good in real life. It actually looks kind of a little nasty. But we're going to mute this. And the Ukrainian Special Service puts up their little, information thing. They also show that they apparently got the plans of the vessel as well, which they're showing off right there.
That always helps to have that when you're trying to, sabotage it. The
Yeah.
whole map.
Yeah, they're like, okay, so let's look at the map. Let's see where we have to go. And then there's the computer room, and there goes the Molotov.
Oh. Wait a minute, how'd they get the photo or the video from that?
They were in the ship.
When they set it on fire, they were in it?
Matthew, I don't know if you realize this, but these guys walked into a Russian naval base, onto a ship, walked into the ship, through the ship, past crew members, with a Molotov, and threw it in the computer room and set the whole thing on fire, burned it to the ground.
What? Man, I didn't know those details earlier today when I reported on the confirmation of the attack. I thought they had struck it with something, like maybe like a drone or something.
Oh no.
I didn't know they were actually walking into it and getting past security with a Molotov.
No, they walked into that ship, Matthew. They weren't even Russian Navy sailors. They walked into an active ship of the Russian Navy and set the computer room on fire and burned it to the ground from what we know. Because we were told by the Ukrainian security service, or the SBU, that apparently the Russian firefighting efforts took incredibly long, and the amount of damage that was posed to the computer systems inside of the Serpukhov was so severe that it's most likely going to require a complete refit of the computer systems inside the vessel. Meaning that in the modern sense, this vessel has been knocked completely out of action until that refit is done. Because most modern vessels rely on their computers so heavily, especially for combat operations, that without a running computer system in the vessel, it is pretty much a useless hulk of a ship. So this was
honestly though, to give the Russians the benefit of the doubt, which I don't like to do because they don't deserve it, but they probably were not expecting a team of Ukrainian intelligence to show up in Kaliningrad and actually go and try to do that to a ship, because for them to get past all the security, if there even was a lot of security, that's wild. And also Ukraine really went far out this time to go conduct a sabotage attempt. That was impressive all the way around.
Oh, they really did. I mean, it was a huge effort on the Ukrainians' end to be able to knock out this vessel, but you got to give them some credit. I mean, they went the whole 9 yards to just wander up into Kaliningrad and obliterate a Russian ship that is sitting inside of harbor. From what we understand, it will most likely require a dry dock. I saw some people saying that it probably will not, considering it's just computer systems, but from what we understand, the computer systems that were damaged was the main computer of the ship, and usually main computers of these vessels are incredibly large, and usually will require some kind of a dockside crane to be able to load onto the vessel, and then put into the computer systems room. So it most likely will require a dry dock from what we understand. If anyone has any better understanding of the Boyan M class vessels that we're talking about right here, such as the Serpukhov, please let us know in the chat and let us know that we're wrong or right, or what kind of information we can get off of the damage that was caused to the Serpukhov. But to get y'all a better look at this specific vessel, this is one that it actually looks fairly good. I'm not going to lie. It's not a bad looking ship. It looks fairly modern, and it is fairly modern. The first one was put into service in 2004, so they're only 20 years old, and that's not that old in naval terms. But here is what the Boyan M class corvettes look like. That's it right there before they got into the ship and burned down the computer control room.
Oh wow, that was a pretty decent one they got right there.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. This is a part of the Russians' naval modernization plans, trying to make the Navy a little bit more competent, a little bit more advanced, but the reality is that while they're new vessels, they're using antiquated technology that's from the 1980s for the most part, as far as the weaponry goes. There's not really a lot of additional modern weaponry that was put on these Boyan M class corvettes. But nevertheless, this is one of the more modern vessels in the Russian Navy, a lot like the Project 22-160s that have been highly coveted prizes for the Ukrainians to sink inside the Black Sea. This is a very similar thing for the rest of the Russian fleet around the Federation. But still, absolutely incredible to know that one of these has been knocked out of action, probably certainly until repairs are effected, well on into the future. Huge news, and we love to see that the Ukrainians are taking every single opportunity they can to try and inflict serious damage like that all the way up in Kaliningrad, which isn't even an area or an active theater of the Ukraine war at the moment. Speaking of which, it appears that the Russians are still dealing with another unmitigated disaster, which hasn't really been making a lot of headlines anywhere lately because the Russians are trying to bury this as much as they can. Many of y'all will know that the dam on the Ural River ruptured, and the floodwaters began to flow on down like a nice river, all the way into the area of Orsk, and also into the area all the way over in Novichokrovsk, which is a very far distance away. Actually, Orenburg specifically, which is way, and let me make sure I get this correct, way downstream over here. And you can actually see right here that Google Maps is also reporting that there's an ongoing flood happening in the area of Orenburg. We were actually able to find the dam on our off day, and I was able to find that the dam is actually right up here. This dam apparently had a critical failure. Apparently the earthen works over here to the left side of the dam ruptured, which means that the entire hydroelectrical station is now offline, the small one that was here, and it also means that this entire reservoir here, which does not look that big, but when you compare it, and really quickly I'll try and zoom out here and try and keep them in comparison, when you compare it to the Novikakhovka reservoir in Ukraine, it's about half the size. But the other big thing about this is that the Novikakhovka dam's outlet was actually a fairly short trip. It went straight from Novikakhovka down past Kherson and on into the Black Sea and the Dniprovska Gulf, meaning that the actual damage that was caused by this dam rupture was somewhat limited. In comparison, the dam that ruptured inside of Russia is actually in the middle of Russia, and the Ural River goes all the way from Orsk to Orenburg and then all the way into Kazakhstan, and it can also affect cities in Kazakhstan as well. So the damage that we're believing is going to be sustained from the floods caused by this dam rupture are actually going to be incredibly serious, as there's so much more land in distance that this water has to travel until it eventually feeds into the Caspian Sea. So we've been able to get some additional information from the area today, and let me make sure to go to Orenburg, showing that Orenburg has now been subjected to flooding as well, and very serious flooding as the slow dramatic piano plays. This is the city of Orenburg. A lot like Orsk, about half of the city has now been submerged below the waters. And not only that, a lot of major industry inside the city of Orenburg has also been knocked out as well.
Also, by the way, do we happen to have that footage of that duck boat like driving through here with the Russians on it?
Oh, dang it, dude. I wish I included that. Is that on our Twitter, Matthew?
Yeah, it's on our Twitter. I showed it in the short war video today, but the Russians literally pulled up in like this massive, like high-end duck boat to like go and look down upon the peasantry in these flooded towns in Russia.
Oh, yeah.
And it was being booed on by the people.
Oh, dude, I remember seeing that. We're going to have to go show that, actually. I'm going to have to go pull up the Twitter here. But also, just to give you all some additional facts about Orenburg and why it's so major of an ordeal that Orenburg has been flooded. Orenburg is home to a subsidiary of Gazprom and its oil company, which are some of the biggest energy-generating companies inside the Russian Federation. There are also some oil-producing factories that are in this area, along with oil refining facilities, which have also been knocked offline due to the flooding now reaching the city of Orenburg. You can actually see some of that heavy industry out there in the distance through the smog or the haze of the morning. We're not really sure which one. It's actually wild to see how much damage was caused by the flooding inside of the Russian Federation. I would actually say on a scale of damage, it's actually worse than the Novikakhovka Dam flood in Ukraine, because that one had such a limited area of damage that it could actually affect. The dam rupture inside of Russia has hundreds of miles of land that it must affect before the waters eventually make their way to the Caspian Sea and end up filtering out there. So the damage to Russia is incredibly severe from this dam rupture. But really quickly, I'm going to go pull up the Twitter and make sure to get that video pulled up of those guys riding through looking like absolute geeds on the back of that amphibious Osa. So let me see here. Let's see here. Where is it? Here we go. Okay, so you can already hear it, can't you? So let me get it over here. So this is actually in the city of Orsk. So we're actually going to be moving from Orenburg, and let me make sure that we get ourselves geo correctly moved into the right area. So Orsk is down here, and then Orenburg was over here, which is where we were just showing the flooding was at. 1 second. Bless me. But
dang.
Over here in the city of Orsk, where a lot of the flooding has happened, we were also able to see some Russian ministers for the emergency situations arriving in a massive floating OSA amphibious vehicle. Here's the clip.
Министр МЧС России. Еще бы Путина бы, блядь, прихватили сюда. Вот. Я им машу.
That person is like dying in the background.
Мистером ЧС России.
Dude, look at them. They're like, the peasants are driving by in the kayak. How delightful. It's like, look at them.
Man, what is all that crap going on in the background? You hear this person going, wah!
Yeah, I know.
What
It's
is
like,
all that crap?
like Tweety Bird back there in the background. But dude, I like how they're looking at everything like it's a zoo exhibit. They're like, look, the Russians are fleeing the floodwaters. And they're all like, ooh. And they like all like look over the side of the amphibious vehicle to look at them. I mean, look, dude, this is actually pretty bad looking for on their end. Look at this. A bunch of clowns standing on top of an amphibious vehicle. Someone's actually having an asthmatic attack in the background, though. Someone needs to get them like a rebreather or whatever.
They're sneezing and everything. Snorting. That's crazy. It's like, what were the Russians hoping to accomplish by pulling up on a duck boat that expensive and like nice looking like that, while people are like on kayaks trying to like fend for their lives and not drown, and they're pulling up just looking down on everybody like, huh, peasants.
Dude, you know what this looks like? It looks like a Mardi Gras float. I'm not gonna lie. With the way they're standing up there and everything, they're gonna throw you some beans in a minute if they keep going like this. But still, showing the absolute deplorable state of the disaster that's happened inside of Russia, and it's going to have some major effects because Orsk, Novotroitsk, and also Orenburg, way further downstream, way up here, are all homes of major heavy industry inside the Russian Federation. And all of this heavy industry is offline until further notice, until the floodwaters recede, which we believe will probably be in days or 2 weeks. So, once again, a fairly heavy hit to the Russian economy, and once again to the war industry and their ability to produce refined fuel products, and not only that, also some additional niceties such as steel and other kinds of important war goods. Also, I'm not really sure if I'm reading this right, Matthew, but it looks like there are flood warnings actually across the entirety of the area, not just the river, but all the way down to the Kazakh border and all the way up into the area of the other river that is nearby, which is called the Reka Sukmara, which I've never heard of before, but apparently there's a flood warning all the way up here. So we're going to have to get satellite footage to confirm this, but based off of the Google reports of flooding, it looks like the entire area of southern Russia, north of Kazakhstan, has been flooded from the dam rupture. We'll have to check.
Yeah, I'd heard that the flooding was somewhat not as heavy as we saw in that video in some other areas, but I also heard that the Russian civilians or some civilian group is trying to start building like some kind of like homemade dam or something like that to try to hold back some of the water. I don't think it's the Russian government doing it because they didn't make it seem like that when I saw it on Twitter earlier. So I think the civilians might be taking on themselves to build a dam.
I think so. And also, another thing, Matthew, that I noticed as we were making our way downtown, walking fast, is that there appears to... Oh my. There's an Su-24 fighter bomber wing, or more so a tactical bomber wing, that is out here at this airbase. Well, if it's flooded, that means that those aircraft had to be moved to another airbase, which is a huge issue. But this is something. And also, I gotta note, y'all, why does every single Russian airfield look like there are almost no facilities at them whatsoever? And also all the facilities look like they've been allowed to rot for about 30 to 40 years. Every single Russian airfield looks like this. Every single one, even the civilian ones in some places. Speaking of which, actually, let me take y'all to Orenburg. We're going to see if we can find the local airfield because they most likely have one. Here it is. Is this the... Oh my lord. There's a whole air transport wing here, too. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? It's like Christmas come early. And once again, absolutely no facilities at this airfield. Like, none whatsoever. Wait a minute, hang on, hold up. No way. No way, Matthew. Oh my god, wait a minute, what? Okay, so, if I'm seeing this correctly, Matthew, there's no actual road to the airfield. You have to drive down the taxiway all the way down to the airfield to get to this part of the base.
Oh, Bliat, who needs a roadway, Bliat, when you already have a runway, Bliat?
Oh my lord. Dude, this place looks rough. Can we drop down on Street View here? We gotta see this. We gotta witness this. Holy moly. I don't know what it is about Russia, dude, but is that a loaf? Oh my god, dude, it's a buhanka. It's a loaf. Look, it's a loaf.
It is. What's all that stuff on the right though? Like these lined up like shacks over here. What is that?
Well, these are the NKVD execution chambers. That's why they have the the sealed doors on them. So that way you can execute someone, throw them in there, and then close it and let them ferment for a little bit, you know? But the real answer is that they're storage units, the Russian equivalent of an American storage unit. That's what these things actually are.
That's some like ominous looking like storage lockers. Like you wouldn't expect them to like be like storing their home goods in that. It looks like they're like maybe putting people in it.
Maybe putting other nefarious items in it. But nevertheless, it's a rough looking place out here, I'm not going to lie. And then you just got this weird Victorian era like knockoff house out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
But
that's oddly like somewhat of a nice house right there out in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, and then you got it surrounded by like just random stuff. Like it's rough. But let's go, you know what, let's look at the rest of Orenburg just for a quick moment. Because I'm very interested. What's over here near high school number 65?
High school number 65. That's a bopping place.
Huh. Well, a lot of dirt. Some empty buildings here and there. And they can't even be bothered to paint stripes on the roads. And it also looks like the road may not even be made out of asphalt. It's just more like packed gravel. But beyond that...
Well, it's kind of like where we went to high school ourselves, actually.
yeah, shoot, mate. But still, dude, this is actually giving me some Montgomery, Alabama vibes.
A little bit. It reminds me, like, not exactly the same, but somewhat like our high school a little bit. Like, it's got the same sort of, like, country thing going on here.
What does this say? Svani Nabori. I have no idea, but it's saying something.
I don't think you'll be seeing, dudes pulling up in Chevys with the Carolina squat out here, though. But you'll be seeing Lottos pull up.
Man, you'll be seeing Lottos with that Slav squat put on them. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be some real hardcore stuff out here. And also, what the hell is this? What is this out here? Like, is there any pictures? Okay, they're not even allowed to get close to this thing, whatever it is. Is this Ural River frozen over? Maybe. Or it's completely dry, one or the other. I have no idea. Can we get, like, a street view or something near this river? Okay, so we kind of can right here. I want to see what's going on with the river. Okay. And we can't see the river. So, great. But anyways, moving on from the city of Orenburg, it appears that things are not going well inside of Russia as far as the flooding is going, and also they're not making themselves look that good. But we of course hear that things are bad in Russia, very bad. And Matthew, you know something even more interesting than that is that down to the south, we can see that the Russians are getting incredibly desperate due to the oil situation, or more so the gasoline situation that is evolving inside of Russia after the Ukrainians attacked their refineries and knocked out a lot of their abilities to produce gasoline. The Russians have been getting more and more desperate to try and keep their nation running in some form. And this has led them to striking up an agreement with Kazakhstan to get a unbelievable 100,000 tons of gasoline in case of shortages. But the shortages are inevitable due to the deficit that they have. And things are getting incredibly bad for the Russians. Like we're seeing right here, they hardly are going to be able to keep the economy or the military running, and they're having to try and buy gasoline in mass volumes outside of Russia to be able to try and keep the Russian Federation rolling. This has led a lot of people to be a little bit concerned that the Russians are going to start getting desperate and start pulling some very dangerous moves in the future to try and deal with the incredibly precarious situation they found themselves in. Some people have even been saying that this may lead the Russians to go absolutely ham or absolutely ape because there's really nothing else that they can do at this point except lose the war. And so some people have been saying some very interesting things, including a U.S. general today here in the United States who said that a nuclear red phone with the Russians needs to be reopened for communication purposes. And a lot of people have been talking about this idea today, or the fact that that was even brought up. And a lot of people are getting the idea that things must be very serious in the diplomatic world stage for a U.S. general to want to reopen the red phone lines in between Russia and the United States because of how bad things really are going. And a lot of people have had many comments on this. And Matthew, what is your idea on the red phones being reopened? And what is everyone else thinking about that right now?
All right, so we did ask the audience. We said, what are y'all's thoughts about a U.S. general saying the nuclear red phones with Russia need to be reopened for communication? And it looks like 71% said that's a wise precaution, while 15% said that is not needed for Russia. And for me, honestly, I didn't even know the red phones had been shut down. I thought they were still open, but apparently they're no longer functioning, and they have to be reopened to actually communicate with Russia on an emergency level where you can literally pick a phone up and start talking to them. So I don't think they should have ever been shut off personally. I'm not sure why that was a problem. It's not like the U.S. federal government needs to worry about paying the phone bill because they got plenty of funds to go around. But I would say it's a wise precaution to open that back up. And, you know, you never know if things are going to go nuclear or not. That's a pretty far-fetched to say that. But it's always good to be prepared, so that way you can always have communication. Even if it's communicating with basically a devil, sometimes you have to do it out of necessity. But, and Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that I think it is a very smart precaution. It will hopefully avoid any kind of nuclear situations because of any misunderstandings. And hopefully we can see something like that brought about again. But it is pretty wild to hear that it was apparently just taken off or offline, and it's not a thing that can be used. But a lot of people have misunderstood what the red phone is. A lot of people think that it's actually a phone that is on the president's desk and you just pick it up and the Russian president is on the phone on the other side. It actually brings you to a directory. If the Russians call the Americans or the Americans call the Russians, on both sides, it brings them to a directory where they can then relay a message so that way they can then talk at a very soon date right after that first call, the initial call, was made. So it's not like they're, you know, just calling each other on the cell phone and talking. It's more of an elaborate process. But beyond that, that is still something that I think should be reopened. It's something very important, something that should be a necessity, especially in this precarious and dangerous modern world. And especially considering that the Russians are doing incredibly bad, at least on the internal side of things, and things are not improving for them at all. Not only that, but that Orenburg flood, which is adding on to a lot of the Russians' problems, paired with the fact that the Russians are not able to get enough gasoline to keep their country running, and on top of them spending most of the Russian government's budget on the Ukraine war, they don't really have a lot to spread around inside of Russia. And it's starting to show as critical infrastructure is starting to crumble. For example, this major highway corridor in the area of Smolensk, or the area of the Belarusian Smolensk border, well, it ended up collapsing, and it was a pretty interesting sight. But let me quickly show you all the clip of this major bridge on the E30 highway collapsing, because it's showing that the Russians... Oh, what? The post was deleted? What the hell? What? No way. I call it cap. The post was deleted. But a major highway bridge in the area did collapse. We actually showed this on yesterday's Short War Summary, but sadly, it doesn't exist today. It's been eaten by a black hole, and will never return to the face of the Earth. But moving on from that, and on down into some other major news, we have been able to hear that the Israelis have pulled out their forces from the Gaza Strip, apparently a sign that they may be bending to the Iranians' will. Then they said right after they started doing that they're actually going to be planning a brand new offensive in Gaza, and that they're not going to be bending to the Iranians' will whatsoever. We were able to hear that they're going to be beginning an offensive operation into the city of Rafah, which is directly along the Egyptian border, and they're now telling Palestinian civilians that are in the area to evacuate and move to a safer area, most likely closer to the shoreline. This is once again showing that the Israelis are not going to be bending to the Iranians' will whatsoever, and are not going to be taking their weird peace agreement that said that if the Israelis stopped attacking Iran's terrorist organizations, then Iran wouldn't attack Israel because Iran's terrorist organizations attacked Israel and then Israel responded. So overall, it looks like the Israelis are ready for whatever may be coming ahead, and hopefully so, as the situation is continuing to be incredibly tense in the area, although we have not seen an official Iranian response yet, even on April 9th, which was the last day that American officials believed that an attack would happen. They believed that an attack would happen before the end of April 9th, and now, according to local time zones, it is now April 10th inside the Middle East, and nothing has happened on the Iranian end so far, possibly showing that they're getting cold feet, or possibly showing that all this was a complete bluff, and that the Iranians are actually very scared of an official Israeli response, or the Israelis' ability to swat down the incoming attacks that the Iranians may launch. It appears that for now, things are very tense, but nothing is really kicking off at the moment, which is incredibly fortunate, and luckily disproves the claims that we were getting and reporting here on this channel that a regional conflict was going to be happening practically within a day or two after the IRGC attack in Damascus was conducted by the Israelis, knocking out a large amount of their commanders. At the exact same time, back in the West, back in the NATO regions, we were able to see that British air wings had been moved into Romania to help protect protect security interests in the area. Very interesting here, and of course, hopefully helping out the Romanians and that very far eastern frontier of the NATO defenses. We've also heard that the Lithuanians are offering a little deal to the Ukrainians. It's actually a sweet deal. In absolutely nothing in return, the Lithuanians will start to dismantle some of their retired or closed thermal power plants, so that way they can get spare parts to send to Ukraine, so that way some of Ukraine's thermal power plants can be brought back online. This is an incredibly good deal, because one, the Ukrainians have to pay nothing, and two, the Ukrainians get to bring a decent amount of their thermal power plants back online, and once again greatly reduce the stress that is currently on the Ukrainian power grid, because so many power plants and power generators have been knocked out recently due to the Russian attacks. Overall, looks like the West is trying to help out as much as they can, and we have also been hearing that apparently there's going to be some efforts, at least, on trying to pass an aid bill that includes a massive amount of Ukrainian support here in the United States. Of course, we cannot talk about that any further than just making the mere statement, but hopefully it will pass, and hopefully we'll see support for Ukraine continue to flow in, so that way the Ukrainians can continue to fight this war and hopefully end up winning it. But at the same time, we've also continued to have a lot of people talking about the ongoing Iranian situation, which has been going on in large part for quite some time now, really ever since October 7th of last year. And a lot of people are saying that Iran is now going to use its proxy forces to attack Israel instead of a direct attack, like we were originally hearing about, and like many intelligence sources were starting to claim. A lot of people are wondering whether the Iranians will not attack at all, considering that they haven't attacked within the time window that a lot of people said they would, or if the Iranians never even planned on attacking at all, or whether they still plan on attacking, it's just that they haven't attacked yet. A lot of people have had many different ideas about this, and it's something that is not really clear. It's actually a mysterious thing as far as how this is going and what's going on. Nobody really has an idea anymore. But Matthew, what are you thinking? Do you think the Iranians are going to attack at all anymore, or do you think that they will not attack and they've decided that they've gotten cold feet, or do you think that they're still going to attack?
Well, we actually asked the audience this question, and we said, what are your thoughts about reports now claiming that Iran is asking proxy forces to attack Israel instead of a direct attack on Israeli territory? And 43% said Iran will not attack at this point, and 23% said Iran never planned on attacking, and 22% said they will attack soon and just stand by. And on this one, I'll be totally honest with you, I could have sworn that Iran was going to attack within just a few days after that Damascus strike. I'm kind of shocked that they haven't done anything since that's broken out. It's a good thing for the West, like I've said before, but for Iran's stability, for whatever stability they might have had to begin with, that is going to affect them in a bad way if they never do anything to actually back up their level of deterrence by attacking Israel in return for that strike. So at this point, I'm kind of confused about what's happening. It sounds like Iran is going to try to ask their proxy forces now to do it on their behalf, but that's just the intelligence we're getting in the background. And remember, it can be wrong, just like the intelligence was wrong saying that Iran was going to attack Israel directly a few days ago. That turned out to be inaccurate from the U.S. as well as Israeli intelligence. So I think we'll just have to wait and see exactly where this goes, because right now I really couldn't tell you. Ramadan is coming to an end, so that might affect things as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that I'm unsure at the moment. Who knows? Because, of course, the United States looked like we were about to not respond to the attack that happened at Tower 52 that led to the deaths of 3 American service members. But over time, we eventually did respond in a large bombing campaign of IRGC headquarters and camps throughout the area. Going off of that, I would have to say that while the Iranians may have not attacked at the moment, they may still be planning on it. Although that's very hard to say, because that would be crystal balling. Right now, I believe there's about a 50-50 chance that they either will try an attack here in the near future, or they've gotten cold feet and they're not going to be attacking at all. But at the moment, I would have to say, in my opinion, there's just not enough information, at least to me, that I think would show whether they really want to continue through with an attack or not at the moment. If there is an attack that is followed through, y'all will be hearing about it here. If there isn't an attack that's followed through, y'all will be hearing about that here. Really, no matter what happens, we'll be making sure to keep y'all apprised of the situation that's ongoing in the area and tell y'all whether anything's happening in large form or not down there. But hopefully, nothing major will be happening. But with that, we're now going to be moving on back into the news up here in Ukraine because we still have so much to cover. It's an unbelievable amount. And while the Russians are dealing with all these massive issues inside of their country, crumbling infrastructure, the Russian Navy being attacked, the Russian Top Gun school being blown up, and a whole bunch of other things, they are still having to contend with the Free Russian Army, which is quietly sitting in the areas of the Grivron and Shevakino fronts, and have not retreated and have not been pushed out yet. And we got to see today that Ukrainian Black Hawk came in and dropped off further reinforcements for the Free Russian Army, which was caught on film by a Russian drone operator. Here's the clip, and it's incredibly hilarious because this guy is pissed. We see the Black Hawk coming in and landing. You see the Black Hawk taking off?
That's so weird to see like the Black Hawk being used by Ukraine like that.
Yeah, it's whack. Look at him go. Nice. It's like, what can we say but nice? But with that, excuse me, apparently getting a little bit of a tuberculosis over here, but that's the end of that clip. Really nice to see the Black Hawks that the Ukrainian Interior Ministry of Intelligence, I believe, has being used in support of the Free Russian Army. But moving on from that and on into Kyiv, we've also been able to hear about the air defense report and the wild success they were able to have last night. They were able to down 20 incoming Shahed 136s and 131s over the past 24 hours. Once again, showing that the Ukrainians are keeping the skies over Ukraine safe and, of course, trying to make sure to intercept and destroy all incoming Russian air targets to the highest efficiency levels that they possibly can. We have also heard an interesting statement from Zelensky yesterday saying that if U.S. support does not continue for Ukraine, Ukraine will lose the war. That is according to a direct statement from Ukraine Frontline, which is a direct quote from President Zelensky, and it sounds as though Zelensky is believing that U.S. support is incredibly important for the war effort, and for that reason, hopefully we'll be able to see that U.S. support will continue to flow into Ukraine to help them to keep fighting this war. But moving on from that and outside of Kyiv, it is now time for us to move on back into the major Ukraine war news, especially this little clip right here of a MiG-29 that was on an evening patrol. And we're going to be muting that, but we can see the pilot here showing the evening sky over Ukraine as the MiG-29 goes roaring over.
With some lovely music in the background.
Why'd you stop playing that lovely music? But, you know, we can see the MiG-29 here with the R-73s and everything on board. Thank you, everyone, so much for congratulating us on passing 185,000 subscribers. We're already up to about 186,000 subscribers, actually. So we're really proud, we're really happy, and we thank everyone for joining us. And we hope that y'all are here to stay. I hope y'all enjoy this news. But
200,000 is right around the corner. It's crazy. Like it just like snuck up on us like that. Kind of like the Ukrainians snuck up on the Russians, just like that.
Man, I could hear that snap in the microphone, man. Congrats.
Oh,
Yeah, congrats, man. I like that. I like that sound effect. That's nice. But with that, we're going to be moving on from that MiG-29 video right there of it patrolling the evening skies. And we're now going to be moving on into our location unknowns. We have loads of location unknowns to cover, so many of them. And we have our first one here, a nice one, showing a Russian soldier getting hit by an RPG backblast. Oh, apparently it's been deemed a little too spicy for the common viewer. Unfortunate. But moving on from that into our next clip, we also got to see the two Ukrainian Black Hawks in another clip. This one from the ground. Check it out. Oh, look at them! They're beautiful. But that's the end of that clip.
It's so sick to see those American helicopters out here in Ukraine doing some heavy lifting.
Heavy lifting indeed, Governor. Heavy lifting indeed. But moving on from that and into our next clip, we also got to see something that I can only describe as the Shed. Many people have been calling it the Shed today. It is a brand new kind of a Russian super tank that is being used right now on the front lines of Ukraine. It is so armored that nothing can destroy it. Not a drone, not artillery, not an ATGM. It is literally a rolling ball of steel. And the Ukrainians have started to quiver in fear at the fact that this thing's firing arc is about 3 degrees, and the entire tank has to turn towards its target to be able to fire at it. Nevertheless, it is absolutely unbelievable to see this thing rolling around the battlefield, and I'm going to have to show you all this here because this may be the very end of Ukraine as we know it. We're introducing today the Shed. We're going to be muting the rave music.
Oh no! Oh no!
But there is the Shed, right there at the front of the column. That is the Shed.
Look at that. It is insane to see that thing. That was actually the topic of the short war video today.
Dude, you know what this thing looks like it's doing right here in this part of the clip? It looks like it's going, like, sniffing the ground. Look, Matthew, watch. You'll see it. It, like, backs up, and it sniffs, and then it moves forward. It's like, okay, well, good. And then it starts rolling on forward.
That thing is so shoddily built. Like, looking at that thing up close, it is insane how shoddily built that thing is. Like, the welds are terrible. Like, look at that thing scooting.
Dude, look at it.
And like escorting like it's a prize or something. Like, look at our prize, blyat arachnid tank.
Dude, this thing is so stupid looking. Look at it. Oh, wait a minute, did it get hit? No, it didn't. It's rolling back around. So it's actually surviving the frontline conditions, best we can tell through the slideshow here.
And it's also, by the way, it is destroyed, by the way. Like, that thing's out of action. Like, it's not, I don't think it's out of action in this video, but it is destroyed as of right now.
Oh, I know. They destroyed the warehouse that they stored the thing in, and it ended up being destroyed as a result.
Man, how's a turret even supposed to turn with that, like a obscene structure around the tank like that?
Well, Matthew, you're asking a question right there that only the Russians can answer with an up-close video showing the Shed. And Matthew, you wouldn't be able to believe it. We have a close-up video of the Shed. A Russian took a video of the Shed before it was destroyed. So here is the clip. And it actually shows the Shed in all of its glory inside of the warehouse where it ended up being destroyed. So here is the video. Well, you see them showing the slat armor that they built around the entirety of the tank. We can see that there is these massive support beams that stop the turret really from rotating at all. So we can see them now showing the side armor. There's a lot of holes in the armor, if anyone can't see that.
Man, that's the most shoddy metal. Like, even when I saw this video on the short war video earlier today, like, super shoddy metal. It's like, even the construction of this, like, crappy design they put on this is insane. And it's like, what Russian decided, let's just start, like, welding sheets of metal to the side of our tank. It's like, you just, first of all, they wasted a ton of metal that they probably couldn't, like, afford to lose. And then, number two, they, like, inhibited the movement of the tank. You couldn't even hardly turn the turret. And then, number three, it looks ridiculous, man.
You just ended out with, it looks ridiculous, man. It really does. It looks stupid. And I can't even explain why they did this, but it certainly was a wonky thing to see out there on the battlefield, this giant aluminum Shed moving around. It's been destroyed. Sadly, I didn't include the clip here on the stream of the destroyed Shed inside of its warehouse where it is in this video, but it has been confirmed to be destroyed. Things are just not going well for the Russians, and we can see how desperate they are for just simple survival, that they would end up building an entire barn house over this tank. The Amish are even impressed with this, because not even they can build a barn of this size and scale on top of a moving main battle tank. But most importantly, it's really starting to show, with the Russians doing desperate things like this, that the Russians are probably in a bad fix for manpower, or at least a bad fix for morale, because that kind of attempt to put that much armor onto a vehicle is showing that they're apparently not that faithful, at least in what their armor can do, or at least protect the crew, and that they're probably expecting that they will most likely perish on the field. A lot of people have been saying, including Russian military bloggers, that there is going to be a mass mobilization, a major mobilization, that is going to occur this year in May. I'm not really sure if they were speaking about May 9th, because if it's a May 9th rumor, then it's most likely completely untrue, because we hear those every time May 9th comes around. But if it's just overall the month of May when this mobilization is going to happen, then it may actually happen. The Russian Ministry of Defense has already come out and denied the claims and said that these are blatantly untrue and that the Russians do not plan on conducting a major mobilization, which has led many people to completely disbelieve the Russian government statements and to believe that a mobilization will happen. And Matthew, what is everyone thinking about that, and what are you thinking about it?
All right, so we asked the audience, what are the thoughts on a Russian mill blogger claiming that major mobilization will happen in May, but of course, the Russian MOD has officially denied it. 82% said a mobilization will happen in Russia, and 5% said it will not happen whatsoever in May. And for me, I would say that it sounded to me like the mill blogger was pretty confident that a mobilization was going to happen. And, you know, in Russia, you really aren't sure who to believe because, first of all, the mill blogger is untrustworthy, but the Russian government is probably even more untrustworthy than that. So you have two conflicting statements here. Russian MOD saying it's not happening, the mill blogger saying it's happening. So to me, I'm kind of leaning toward the side of the mobilization is going to happen. We're not sure exactly how large it's going to be. It sounds like, according to rumors, it could be hundreds of thousands of guys, and maybe Russia's going to try one big blitz on the Ukraine front line in the summer to see if they can overwhelm the defenses while the artillery shells are lacking. That's what it sounds like to me, but of course, we simply don't know, and we got conflicting liars here saying statements we're not sure are true. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that a mobilization is certainly going to happen in Russia eventually. I'm just not really sure if it's going to be May. The fact that mill bloggers are coming out and saying it leads me to believe that it may not be happening, because as we know, Matthew, in the Ukraine war world, sometimes people say things just so that way they can get clicks and views, and those Russian military bloggers may be doing the exact same thing, but on the Russian side for clicks and views. So I'm not really sure if it's entirely true, but the fact that the Russian Ministry of Defense came out and actually denied the claim is leading me to believe that there may be some merit to it, because usually when they say something isn't the case, it usually is the case. So I would have to say it's going to happen, probably not in May, but probably sometime this year. They'll probably start to conduct a full mobilization to try and continue to fight this war, because things are going very bad at this point, and if nothing changes here soon, the Russians will end up inevitably having to lose the war because they'll have no other choice. So with that, I hope that does address that well, at least in my opinion. But Matthew, before we move on, we have a lot of interesting questions in the chat. Can we get to some of them? Can we?
Yes, we can. And our first one of the night is going to go to Blue Flam 777 LLC, the longtime channel legend who throws in an extremely generous $50 donation to the channel, and huge shout out to Blue Flam for helping to keep us running. He says, guess what, bots and poopler trolls? I got my LSA flag and I proudly fly it. And at the moment in my office, he says, Ukraine gets my heart and my country gets my heart. My granny is more dangerous than any poopler orc. LSA.
And LSA, baby! And thank you so much for the support, Blue Flam 777. And thank you for the massive support and helping this channel to keep running tonight. Also, congratulations on getting your LSA flag today. So many people in the live chat have been saying that they got their flag, and I'm so happy to see it. And people are ranting and raving about the quality of the flags. They are truly impressive flags, beautiful flags, the best flags, in fact, the greatest. People have been looking at my flags and they've been saying, wow, these are terrific flags. You just can't get any better than this. It truly is incredible. And it was entirely done by me.
These flags are the best flags. I've never seen flags better than these. They fly so high and so tall.
And when I was designing these flags, Matthew said, whoa, hey, easy, Andrew, you don't need to design that flag. But I designed it completely by myself and ran the entire store completely by myself. I'm just kidding, by the way. I want to give a huge shout out again to Matthew here on the channel, who really made this a reality. He was one who really took this and ran with it, which was incredible. And a lot of credit goes to Matthew. And also a unbelievable amount of credit goes to Torosaur, who made that design a reality. Just off of us making a mere mention about the design idea that we had on the channel, Torosaur brought that to life. And they both deserve, Matthew, Enforcer Matt, and Torosaur, a huge amount of praise and a huge shout out for making this idea a reality. Ever since the beginning of this channel, we always wanted to have an anthem for the Lee Spring Army and a flag for the Lee Spring Army, so that way it would be unified along a common symbol, at least. We finally gotten the flag. Hopefully we'll be able to make an anthem at some point here in the near future, which we may have been able to make a breakthrough today, but I'm not going to say much more about that. I'm going to leave y'all waiting and wanting for more. But still, thank you so much, Blue Flame 777, for enjoying that flag. It truly is an incredible thing. We've been getting in so many pictures and videos from folks around the world. So, well, not really around the world, just around the United States for the moment, showing that they've gotten their flags and are extremely happy with them. And we cannot be more happy to see that. I gotta thank you so much.
And also not only that as well, but also our flags that are trying to make their way to Ukraine are getting in the hands of the people to actually take them to Ukraine. BC Skyman has got the extra one with him, and he's going to be sending that one off with his contact to Ukraine as well. And we also have another one that went to someone else, which I won't disclose their name, as I'm not sure if they want me to, who's going to try to take it to Ukraine as well personally. And then we have one more floating around out there, which might be making its way to Ukraine as well. But we'll keep that quiet until it actually gets there, though. But at least one of those are going to make their way onto the Ukrainian battlefield, hopefully, so we can get some video of that thing flying and also get it to the guys out there on the field as well, which I'm sure would love to have an LSA flag.
And I gotta say, I gotta thank you so much once again, by the way, Blue Flame 777, for that incredible support tonight and helping this channel to keep on running. And also congratulating us on the flag. Really, I got to congratulate all of y'all for getting one and supporting this channel, because y'all are helping to keep it running through that. And not only that, 10% of the profits went to United 24, which we did show a receipt for, I believe, both in the YouTube community post and also on our Twitter. And I got to say that it is absolutely amazing that you love this channel so much that not only did you support it tonight, but you supported it by also getting a Elite Spring Army flag, with it being hand-signed by me, representing both Enforcer Matt and me. But thank you so much once again for support, Blue Flame. I hope that does address that the best I can. And of course, long live the Elite Spring Army, and the Elite Spring Army will never die. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And also, real quick as well, if you ordered a flag and you're internationally located outside of the U.S., your flags will start shipping on Thursday of this week. Our test ones have made it through customs in pretty much every country that we're shipping flags to, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. So we're going to start shipping on Thursday. So good news on that. It's still early and ahead of schedule, because April 22nd was the expected ship date. So I'm happy about that. But anyways, moving on to our next super chat. This one goes to Sagittarius, who puts in a $50 donation. And thank you very much, good sir, for that support. They said, I can't wait for my friends to notice my new LSA flag on the wall, and keep up the great work, and please take a question from the chat.
And thank you so much for your first super chat ever, Sagittarius. And thank you so much for supporting this channel and helping it to keep on running, and with a massive amount of support as well. We thank you greatly for that. And I cannot wait for your friends to notice the LSA flag either. We've actually had some people who have already put their flags on their trucks, and now their entire town, from what they've said, knows about the channel and the Elite Spring Army and what we're about and what we do, which is incredible to hear. I think that was something that really made my day when we got to hear that, and they know who they are. But beyond that, I thank you so much for getting one of those flags. It's so cool to know, and we've been getting so many pictures, and really we've been so shocked, because when we sent the flags out, we didn't realize that so many people were going to actually send pictures back. We thought only a few of y'all were, but so many of y'all have, and it's so nice to see the amount of pride that y'all have when holding the flags, taking the pictures. I mean, Matthew can tell you, that's something that even our parents have noticed when we've showed the pictures to them, is that a lot of y'all are brimming with pride when y'all hold these flags and take pictures with them, because it really does represent how far this community has come from the beginning of the war all the way up until now, where it's a world news reporting channel, of course, still primarily covering Ukraine, and it's now 186,000 strong nearly. It's bigger than most armed forces around the world, and that is absolutely incredible. And I gotta say, thank you so much once again for the kind words and wanting us to keep up this this great work. And it's only great work because y'all add the greatness to it. If it wasn't for y'all being here each and every night and really enjoying the stuff, it would just be work. Y'all, in the amount of kindness and gratitude and the knowledge y'all bring to the table, and also the appreciation y'all have for what we do here, is what makes me feel like this work truly becomes great work. And I gotta thank you so much once again for the massive support in both getting a flag and helping this channel to keep running that way, and also in your super chat tonight, because every single bit of support helps to make this channel possible. And so with that, let's get a question from the live chat, Matthew, in honor of Sagittarius.
All right, and this one is going to go to Woders, who says, if the U.S. doesn't continue to support Ukraine, do you think the rest of the NATO organization would pick up or be able to pick up the slack?
Unfortunately, the rest of the NATO organization is not able to pick up the slack. They are trying their best, but the problem is that due to Chronic. Oh my
Good
God!
gracious.
Good
Damn,
Lord.
Joseph. A
Joseph!
500. Good Lord,
What
man.
the hell? We'll get to that.
That's wild. Thank you.
That's nuts. We'll get to that in just a second, Joseph M. Sika. But thank you for the unbelievable support. Holy moly! But I'm getting back to the live chat question. Sadly, they wouldn't be able to pick it up and support Ukraine because there has been a chronic underspending in NATO for about the past decade at a minimum in most countries, including the UK, France, and Germany. And because of that, there isn't really a lot for them to be able to spend on. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about what the spending goes towards. A lot of people think it's just countries funneling raw cash into Ukraine and then the cash disappears and goes wherever. The reality is that these spending bills are billions of dollars of equipment. It's physical stuff. It's like saying, I'm going to give this this homeless guy, I'm not saying Ukraine's a homeless guy, but this is the best example I can give. I'm going to give this homeless guy $10,000 in support, but you don't give him $10,000 cash. You give him an apartment that's paid for 3 months, and you also provide for all of his groceries and transportation over those next few months. That's really the kind of support that Ukraine's getting. It's not actual money, it's more so equipment. And the problem is that so many countries, major countries in Europe, like the UK, France, and Germany, have very good equipment, but they don't have a lot of it that's just lying around that they can give to Ukraine. And so while they may want to spend a lot and give a lot, the reality is they just don't have a lot because there hasn't been a lot of military spending to create this surplus of equipment that they could then chop off in a spending bill and then give to Ukraine and the amount of monetary value of the equipment. The United States can do that, however, because unlike many countries that have been underspending on the military, America typically overspends on the armed forces, which some people say that's a bad thing, some people say it's a good thing. I'm not here to argue the political side of whether military spending should be increased or decreased at the moment. But one thing I will say is that it's a massive benefit for Ukraine, because the United States has an endless amount of equipment that we're not really using, that's mothballed but still in usable condition because we spend so much money on the military that they are able to spend the money that they need to be able to keep a lot of the mothballed vehicles in running order where they can be brought back out and into service immediately. And because of that, we have an endless amount of stuff that we can send to Ukraine. M113 armored personnel carriers, M1 Abrams tanks, and a lot of people would say, oh no, we can't send Abrams tanks because a lot of those are being used by the Army, or a lot of those are being used by the Marines. Well, guess what? The Marines completely retired all of their tanks. The Marines are a tankless branch at this point in military history. Not a single tank, and I have to say this again, not a single Abrams is in the Marine Corps' roster at this point, or their battle order. They do not have a single tank anymore. All of their M1A1s have been retired as of, I believe, about 1.5 to 2 years ago. And now, all of those Abrams that were once a part of the Marine Corps are sitting inside of military storage yards around the country, and they're just sitting there. Of course, the U.S. is still paying to maintain these things and keep them in somewhat running order, but the Army doesn't want them. M1A1 Abrams are last year's tanks. The Army's all into the M1A2s, and the M1A2 SEP variants that we're also bringing into service these days and upgrading older Abrams into. So there's an endless amount of Abrams that we can give, but the thing is that to give them to Ukraine, we have to pass a spending bill. And that spending bill has to allocate a certain amount of money that the Department of Defense can approve in terms of equipment to send to Ukraine, and then it's sent to Ukraine. So the United States, like I was saying, has an endless ability to do this because we have loads of vehicles sitting around that are worth billions and billions of dollars that we can send to Ukraine. Many other countries just don't have that opportunity, like France, Germany, and the UK. They didn't overspend. There's not a lot of surplus equipment that they have sitting around inside their countries. So a lot of the equipment they send, they're actually stripping out of combat-ready forces inside of their nations. So that's why Zelensky is saying that NATO can't really pick up the tab without America, because America is the one that has the raw amounts of military equipment that Ukraine would need that's actually in running order and wouldn't end up hurting the U.S. if we ended up sending it over there. So with that, I hope that does address that the best I can. And thank you so much, Secretaries, once again for sponsoring that live chat. That was an incredibly good one. And that's why a lot of people have been leaning on U.S. support so heavily in the military aspect. It's not that NATO is weak and incapable and feeble. It's just that that NATO never thought that in their days, in this future that we're living in, that there would be a massive land war in Europe where they had to stockpile additional weapons to hand over to a foreign country like Ukraine so that way they could keep fighting this war. But with that, Thank you so much once again, Secretaries, for the support. And we are now on to the last question of this segment, which is from an amazing viewer who threw in an unbelievable amount of support that truly left my head spinning. I just couldn't believe that we even saw this. But Matthew, who is it?
So this viewer is Joseph M. Sika, the longtime channel legend who throws in the maximum $500 donation on the Super Chat, which is insanely generous. And thank you very much, Joseph, for supporting the channel Big League. Big League. Joseph says, I'm not drunk. Don't cut me off.
We're not cutting you off.
He said, funny fact, I wanted to be a tank commander, but this guy told me about rocket launchers. I was like, okay. And he said, take a live chat.
And thank you so much for the kind words, Joseph M. Sika, and thank you for sharing that little story with us. Also, you're not drunk, and we're not cutting you off, and so sorry about that. In case if y'all are new to the channel, if y'all want to know, one night, Joseph M. Sika was sending in super chats and pretending to be drunk the entire time, and we thought it was legit because, you know, sadly in text we can't read like sarcasm, or we can't like read into jokes because we just read, you know, the straight line of text. So we actually thought that Joseph M. Sika was just dog drunk, and so we felt bad, and we're like, we don't want him to just, you know, blow away tons of money sending in super chats that he won't even remember until tomorrow. So we actually ended up banning Joseph M. Sika off the channel for a day because, you know, we like banned him off, and we're like, he will get sober and then we'll unban him and he'll come back on. So that way he's not blowing away money on super chats. And it turns out that he wasn't drunk, and we ended up banning him because we thought he was. So he was like, hey, I'm not drunk. So then we brought him back, and he's been here ever since. So that's what he's referencing right there, is that he's not drunk. Don't cut him off, because we cut him off the last time because we thought he was drunk. But beyond that, we're so sorry.
And then it took me like a whole day to like figure out how to like reinstate him in the live chat, because for some reason YouTube wouldn't let me put him back on. I was like, what the hell? It's like it won't let him back in the chat, so I had to go like do like a whole day's worth of research. Like, damn, like how do I unban him from the chat? Like we only wanted him gone for like a day to like, you know, protect him, and then we had to go back and fix it. But luckily it turned out good, and Joseph was back.
And Joseph has been back, and Joseph is certainly showing everyone that he is back. But beyond that, I got to thank you so much once again for that unbelievable support, Joseph M. Sika. You are the small guy in this channel. You love the small. And also, that is really cool to hear that you actually went into the artillery. A lot of people apparently get suckered into the artillery, I'm guessing, which is pretty funny to me. But beyond that, I gotta say, really cool to know that you ended up being an artillerist in the Marine Corps, a rocket artillerist, I'm assuming, because we also have tankers here, like Jesus UCSB, who is the Elite Spring Army tanker. But beyond that, I gotta say, really cool to hear your story about getting into the rocket artillery. Thank you so much once again for that unbelievable support and helping this channel to keep on running. And also, Joseph M. Sika said, talk about Patton. Oh man, are you asking for a story? Patton had a wild story the entire time that he was in the military. So to really quickly summarize Patton's story, so Patton was born and raised in America, of course. He ended up going to West Point. He ended up getting hazed pretty bad at West Point, if I remember correctly, but then he ended up hazing other people incredibly badly. I think some of them ended up being hospitalized because of what Patton did to him. Anyways, moving on from that, and we're now talking about his military service. So Patton was in the U.S. Army his entire career, and a part of his time in his early career as a junior officer was being sent down to the U.S.-Mexican border, because at the time there was a gang leader called Pancho Villa who was pretty much running the proto-Mexican cartel. Before the cartel was a thing, this guy called Pancho Villa was pretty much running the cartel, and it was terrorizing the entire area of Sonora and Chihuahua, also the area of the Baja Peninsula, pretty much the entire Mexican-American border, including the U.S. side, especially in the areas of Arizona and New Mexico. And so Patton was sent down there to deal with the guy, and Patton ended up saying something that was pretty wild. He ended up looking at some Fords that the Army had gotten, you know, like Ford Model Ts, and he said, hey, you know what would be cool if we put a machine gun on the back of one of these things, and we chase down Pancho Villa and his guys, and we just gun him down with a machine gun. And the Army went, hey, that's pretty cool. Put them on a car and let's see what happens. So they ended up chasing down Pancho Villa's right-hand man and gunning him down on the Mexican-American border way back in like 1916. It was a pretty big deal when it happened. It was like, oh my God, they killed him. And he was like, yeah, I killed him. So then World War I happens right afterwards. Patton gets sent over. And he's actually a part of one of the first U.S. tank units that was ever in the Army's existence. And so one of his jobs was helping the tanks to roll forward. You know, he was a junior officer, so his job was really just to oversee some tanks and make sure that they kept on rolling. So the issue was, well, actually, to add a little bit more to the story, not to get too detailed on what Patton did in World War I, but he actually ended up, I believe, on one or two occasions, actually crawling out on his own into no man's land, which is an incredibly dangerous undertaking, in the middle of the night, not knowing the terrain in front of him, to try and actually feel it out and try and figure out where the tanks could advance with the least amount of friction, where they wouldn't run into crater holes or anything crazy like that, because back then a tank could handle none of that. So he found that out. He went back, and then the next day when the advance happened, the tanks rolled forward with relative ease through no man's land and onto the German lines. The problem came afterwards when there were some obstructions, and Patton told a infantryman to dig a way for the tanks. The infantryman refused, and this is something that no one really knows that much about Patton because it's not talked about, but Patton actually said this himself. He picked up a shovel, and he beat that infantryman to death on the spot. Like, beat him to death with the flat end of a shovel, beat his head in, and killed the guy because he wouldn't dig. And then Patton said, in his own recounting of the story, that after he beat that guy to death with a shovel, all the other infantrymen that were around started digging quick. I'm not really a big fan of beating your own soldiers to death, especially guys who aren't even under your command and are under another infantry commander's command. But that's what he did. Anyways, after World War I, because that was one of the more interesting stories of Patton in World War I, then he was an army general. Well, not really an army general. He was a higher up officer in the interwar years. Ended up becoming a general before World War II began. Then World War II began, and then he ended up leading the U.S. Armored forces in North Africa. I don't think he was there for the Battle of Kasserine Pass, which was one of the Army's defeats in North Africa, but he certainly was there, I believe, when Erwin Rommel was almost being crushed. Then Patton was also involved in the invasion of Sicily, but then he ended up beating two shell-shocked soldiers because he said they were wimps and cowards, which ended up not going that well with the American public. He was then reassigned to the Ghost Army inside of Britain, which he commanded incredibly well because it was a distractionary unit, and also the Germans put a lot of faith in Patton and thought he was one of the best American commanders, so when he got put in charge of the Ghost unit, they really thought it was a real deal. That helped the invasion of Normandy to be undergone successfully, and then Patton ended up commanding the 3rd Division, I believe, through southern France. The 3rd Division ended up getting bogged down in the end because they ran out of supplies, as the northern front near to Paris and Belgium was the one that was being prioritized for supplies, so that the southern offensive completely ground to a halt due to a lack of fuel. Then Patton was reassigned and moved north from the now inactive southern front in France all the way up into the area of Belgium, where he was then the commander of U.S. forces during the Battle of Bastogne. After that, he would then lead U.S. forces under his command into the heart of Germany, into the Ruhr Valley area, and on towards Berlin. They got fairly close. The war, of course, ended, and then after that, Patton was actually one of the generals, well, actually, I think he was one of the only generals, who actually said that the U.S. and the Allies, except for the Soviet Union, should go to war with the Soviet Union right after the end of the war, and he said that they were fighting the wrong people the entire time. The Nazis actually weren't the bad guys, it was actually the Soviet Union the whole time, and everyone should have teamed up to fight them. He then ended up dying right after those statements were made in a very unfortunate auto accident, which ended up flipping over his Jeep, breaking his neck, and killing him on the spot. So that is pretty much the entire story of Patton from beginning to end. But
Damn.
but still, a pretty interesting story. But with that, I hope that explains the history of George S. Patton. And I forgot what the S stands for, but beyond that, thank you so much once again for the support, the unbelievable support, Joseph M. Sika, and helping this channel to keep on running. It is folks like you who help to make this thing possible, and we are entirely undeserving of that amount of support, but we're still greatly appreciative for it, and I thank you greatly from the bottom of both of our hearts that you enjoy the channel so much that not only will you support the channel to help it to keep on running, you would just support the channel to help see us do incredibly well and succeed, because that amount of support goes beyond just supporting the channel. It goes well into just enjoying the channel so much that you just want to support for the hell of it. It's absolutely insane support, but still, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that the best I can. And with that, it is time for us to move back into the frontline news and back into the Russian casualty report, which was a very good one today. So, Oh my
One
goodness.
Bobcat.
Only
Damn.
one.
But at least the other losses. Look at that, man. Crazy high losses. Wild.
I gotta say, it was something to see. And one Bobcat skid steer was destroyed. I'm also seeing some people saying that he did not flip a Jeep. He was in a Jeep that flipped. It was a terrible auto accident, is the way I remember the story. Let me make sure. Hang on. Let me make sure to go pull up the story. I'm sorry, everyone. I gotta make sure to correct this if I can. And let's see here. Where did he die? How did he die? Man, his Wikipedia page is long. Good lord. Okay, so accident and death. Let's see. Moments later. So, moments later, the Cadillac limousine driving them to the trip collided with an army truck at low speed. Patton hit his head on the glass partition that separated the front and the back seat. He began bleeding from a gash to the head and complained he was paralyzed and having trouble breathing. He was taken to a hospital in Heidelberg. He discovered to have a compression fracture. And let's see, it resulted in an injury that led him to be paralyzed from the neck down. He ended up having a congestive heart failure on December 21st, 1945 at age 60. So I actually did hear the story incorrectly. He ended up hitting his head on the glass partition inside of the car and then ended up being paralyzed and dying shortly afterwards. So interesting. Thank you for correcting that because I was wanting to make sure that that was right. But with that, it's time for us to get back to the casualty report. 850 Russian soldiers killed and wounded over the past 24 hours, along with 45 supply trucks knocked out, 71 supply vehicles being destroyed, one of the highest numbers that we've seen on a single day, 23 tanks, 30 artillery pieces, 37 drones, 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems, and the 1 Bobcat skid steer. Overall, it was a pretty freaking good day, and I'm happy to see it, and we love to see that the Russians are being held back as best as they can, you know what I mean? But moving on from that and up into the northern area near Drovchina, we were also able to see a Ukrainian BMP-3, which are incredibly rare, and a BMP-4 in the northern area. Check them out. Aren't they cool? I like them. I like them a lot. I dig them, as a matter of fact. I like them. But moving on from that.
That's pretty nice, actually. Not bad.
Not bad at all. And moving on from that and down to the Kremenna forest area, we're also able to see that the Russians are apparently in bad straits for water. They're not getting enough of it. And they're having to start to sanitize their muddy puddle water. This is a fairly normal thing across the front lines now, but check it out.
Блядь, я видео начал записывать, ну ладно.
This guy also smokes 90 packs a day.
Короче, вот эта система наша лужная, бля. Это вода из лужи, вот там фильтр. И погнал пятишку набираться. Рыбки. Ребятки. Вот так мы, короче, будем
The hell's in the bottle?
чай.
That is a mix of piss and puddle water.
Tasty.
Потекла, малыш.
Oh, it's hooked up to a line. Oh, it's a vodka drip.
А вот это мы вчера пырнули крысу.
Man, that fit got me going drip, drip. Drip, drip. Oh, but anyways. Man. Oh, man. But moving on from that, and now the area committed where they're starting to purify the puddle water, it's time for us to move on down into the area of the Kremenna forest, where we've got to see how war has changed the forest and the surrounding areas. This is what the area looks like on Google Maps. And let me show you all this. This is what the area looks like on Google Maps. Look at that forest. Look at it, I say. Look at it. It's a forest.
It's almost red.
Almost red, but in this picture right here, you can see that it's actually a luscious green. But as war has come to the region and the forest has become a battlefield, we have seen that the entire forest has pretty much been obliterated, from what we can see from satellite footage. None of the forest is really there. Most of that, what you're seeing, is churned ground that's been created out of a no man's land that is formed out of the forest due to the heavy fighting that's been going on there for about a year at this point. Also, one thing that's really interesting is that you can actually see the complete depletion of farmer activity within the region. Notice a lot of these fields have been planted and are growing at this time of year in Separni 2021. I don't know what month that is. But then we can see here that all of these fields are completely inactive now and are now just fallow, meaning that the fields are bare and that there's absolutely nothing growing in the area. Like, you can actually see the big difference in between the farmers being active in 2021 and the farmers completely being non-existent in the area by this time of year. You can also see all of the heavy damage that's been caused to the areas north of Kremenna Forest from all the heavy fighting that has happened outside of the town of Kremenna, which you can see right there on satellite footage, which you can also not see here. These forests have also been almost completely destroyed north of Kreminna, and also the fields are showing a large amount of artillery fire and fire damage that has also happened up there as well. Pretty crazy to see the scars of war all the way from space on satellite footage, but once again showing the complete severity of warfare as it's come to Ukraine over the past few years. Moving on from that little bit of news, and even further on, down the front line, we were also able to see that near the Bakhmut area, the 28th Brigade was firing on them Russians. Alright, well, we got rock music. Dude, look at that little Russian. He was dancing along with the music down there. Look at him. He was going...
I mean, he ran out like those old cartoons of like those ladies talking about, oh, it's a mouse, running around like high stepping.
Man, he was like dancing around like he was listening to that diss track we heard today, Matthew.
Man, oh, the diss track, oh dear. Hot dog diss track coming out soon. It's the best diss track. You've never heard a better diss track than this one. It's nasty.
Man, I gotta go see if the system is online right now, you know what I mean?
Man.
Oh, it's
Should
online!
we release the hot dog diss track? Oh.
It's online, Matthew! It's online, I just checked. So we're gonna be cooking up tunes. But anyways, that's the end of the clip. Nice to see the 28th Mechanized Brigade doing their thing. And moving on from that and down to the area of Minkivka, we also got to see a Ukrainian tank working on some more Russian positions in this area. If the video loads. If the video loads.
Also, while we're waiting for this video to load, I just went back and looked. Somebody said that thumbnail in the short war video today was like insanely funny. While it was Zelensky like laughing at the thing, like the little nasty looking tin tank. I went back and glanced at it, and it was pretty damn funny actually. Now that I look at it the second time,
man, it was comedy gold, man. I mean, we're actually giving people like what the hell is his name? Shane Gillis a run for their money. But anyways, let's get to the clip. Whoa, easy with the rock music. And we see them driving through a puddle. The Russians are crying because the Ukrainians just made their puddle water even muddier. They're like, damn it! Now we have to drink muddy puddle water, blid. Man, they are drifting this tank around the street. Look at them.
man, they really are. Jeez, look at them.
Man, busting a cap. Just busting a cap. Oh, another one. And they're about to be rolling out. Bernard Butler said, can you take a poll? How many LSA subscribers still want a flag? Probably many. But hey, it's okay, because we will be having limited edition releases of the LSA flag. Non-autographed, though. The first ones, the first drop of the LSA flags are going to be the only ones that are autographed. If you want one autographed beyond that, you most likely will have to do that at the fan meets that are probably coming up in a year. So, you know, you'll have to actually get it autographed in person beyond that. But we will be dropping LSA flags every once in a while as limited edition monthly drops in the future. It may be annually or it may be more frequent than annually. But with that, that's the end of the clip and showing that Ukrainian tank at work. Slow, baby! Cold slow! But with that, we're moving on.
Also, Enforcer, real quick, like, can you pull up like the thumbnail like on our YouTube channel real quick of that video today? It was like some people were wanting to see it again about Zelensky laughing at that tank. We let's see that thing real quick. I got to see it.
Man, let's see that thing, man. Man, is that channel trailer gonna play? No? Oh. Hey, look at this. Some people are gonna be like, what, you use dark mode on YouTube but not on your normal browser? Yeah, deal with it. Deal with it. But let's see here. Let me see here if I can find it. Yeah, I can find it. Alright, so let me scroll it over here. So here it is. Look, we're live right now, man. Look, it's just live.
What do you know?
Hey, what do you know?
Enforcer live.
What do you know? But let's go to the videos. There it is.
There it is. Zelensky chuckling. It took me forever today to find that picture of Zelensky chuckling like that and laughing at that abomination of a tank over there on the left side. That's hilarious. I love it.
Man, and look at that lighting too, man. You got the lighting of the fire on Zelensky's face. I mean, that was a very good thumbnail, man. Very, very good. It was
clever.
It's incredible even. But I gotta say, Matthew, not to say much, but the thumbnail game has been massively improving in recent times. Because this is actually, let's see here if I can find it. This is actually what the thumbnails used to look like down here, like 7 months ago or so, a long time ago. They weren't really that good, in my opinion. But we have massively improved them as of recently. As you can see right here, I believe they've gotten a lot better. So
I'd say so. It looks like the people agree too because the views went up.
oh yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. But still, really funny. I love the thumbnail. That was a great one. It was a beautiful one. And Matthew's just sitting there, just absolutely going to town. He's like, man, my thumbnail was good, wasn't it? But
I was drooling over it.
oh man. But anyways, moving on from that and down into the Bakhmut area near Klishkivka, we got to see a brand new, fresh destroyed T-90. All right, rock music ensues, but we see the T-90 right there in the crosshairs, and here comes the drone. Nice. And that's the end of that clip. But nice to see another T-90 get knocked out, you know what I mean? But moving on from that and into the area of Ivanyivsky, we were also able to see a 2S3 SPG in position. Really nice to see. Wonderful to see the older Soviet artillery at work, because while it's not the most modern Western artillery, every bit counts. Can I get an amen? Can I get an Elsa in the chat for that? And with that, we're moving on to our last clip in the Bakhmut area, where we also got to see a Ukrainian vampire drone hunting down some Russians. Because that thing was thirsty for blood. But here's the clip.
Unit Code 92 has mastered the art of drone warfare to perfection. In daytime, they work with Mavics, searching and eliminating enemy infantry. In the night, it's time for the vampires to fly.
Yeah!
The Vampire is a Ukrainian-made battle drone, with a capacity of carrying up to 15 kilograms and a flight distance of up to 10 kilometers. This drone has become a true nightmare for the Russians. They even came up with their own name for it, Baba Yaga, an evil witch from
Baba
Slavic
Yaga!
mythology.
Baba Yaga! Baba Yaga! Put an Elsa in the chat for Baba Yaga, блин!
Бачите? Все по дорожке прям. Сейчас запыхается по-любому.
It depends on the conditions, but usually it flies at 23 meters per second, which makes 100 kilometers per hour. Maximum speed is 120 kilometers per hour.
Tonight's mission is to destroy the enemy's fortifications, clearing the path for assault units to move forward.
Что-то неприятное летит.
Проходяк, 2 штуки, ебать. Ты увидел, да?
Despite constant shelling, the biggest danger for these men is intense Russian signal jamming, which, in the worst case, can lead to losing a drone.
We were close to losing a drone now. We know the most difficult areas, so we fly around them. Well, yeah, the areas where we already lost them.
For every target, the soldiers use a different type of explosive. Some are custom-made, others are good old anti-tank mines.
Yeah.
They have now found a new purpose.
The chunks.
The TM62, a legend.
There's an armored personnel carrier and a gazelle. It would be perfect to drop an ATM now.
Wait a minute. He means an ATM like the money machine? I mean, we could drop an ATM on him. I mean, maybe that'd help him out a little bit. But I don't know if dropping an ATM on them is the greatest thing, you know, Matthew. Like, what do you think, Matthew? Do you think that we should drop an ATM on these guys, or do you think we should drop something else?
I don't know. Depending on the cost of the munitions, it could be like dropping an ATM on them anyway without the money.
Man, honestly, I think we ought to be dropping an anvil on them, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, you know, like a really big anvil. Just drop it right on top of them. I think that would work.
Drop a brick on them.
Dude, you know what? Better yet, they need to like strap a piano hanging by one rope under Baba Yaga and start dropping that on Russians.
Drop hot dogs on them. That'll fry them.
Matthew, come on, Matthew. We're supposed to keep it tame on this channel. Oh,
fired up the ketchup and mustard.
Oh man, they're gonna really be feeling it now after they get some of the sausage. Oh man.
Диви, не одна пікап.
Full power.
This Miller
Get the
trap-
thermal
this Miller
barrack and
trap
2
beats
fragmentation
wonderful.
ones.
Man, I'm telling you what. For real, for real.
Code 9-2 are firm believers that drone warfare is the future. And this future has to happen now in terms of production, development, and countering Russian electronic warfare to save the lives of Ukrainian personnel and liberate what is rightfully ours.
This is a super effective tool. We used to chase tanks with RPGs, and now we work several kilometers from them. Safer for us and more efficient.
Yeah! And with that, that's the end of the clip. But nice to see Baba Yaga out there getting a special mention. We love Baba Yaga. But moving on from that and down to the area of Avdiivka, we were also able to see the Ukrainians using a Polaris. Alright, more music ensues. But when you see them driving around their Polaris, riding around on Rover, call me Ed Sharpova when I see Oxman's over. But they're rolling around, having fun.
Oh, you got duct tape on in that barrel. It was good for muzzle control, I guess.
Perhaps. I have no idea why you should put duct tape on a gun like that, but alright. But with that...
Me neither. Seemed like it might burn and maybe get in the way.
Yeah, it seems like a burning hazard. Yeah, a burning hazard. But anyways, that's the end of that clip right there. Nice to see you. We're now moving on to Olivka, but we got to see the 3rd Brigade holding their positions, doing their thing.
Добрий вечір. Я з цивільного фронту України. Тут ми сидимо в барі. Як вам? Пару слів.
Я думаю, це весілля
See them all chilling.
Я думаю, що
Remember, guys, in an active war zone, wearing your helmet is so important. Most injuries that are sustained in combat that are actually life-threatening are almost always head injuries. It is actually one of the most dangerous places to get hit on your body. That's why, if anything, you should always be wearing your helmet. Because if there's one little thing that thwacks your little skull, it's over. So make sure to wear your helmet. This guy here, he's playing it dangerous. But if you're ever near the front lines, wear a helmet, if anything. I mean, a vest, that's a good addition as well. No one can disagree. But a helmet's most important. Head injuries are serious.
Це весілля почнеться ночі.
Я думаю, що тебе пару слів.
Блять, підери не лізуть.
Ти де вже камеру взяв? Тебе пару слів.
He's got an iPad with like a kid's like case on it.
Yeah, look at that. It's like all purple and everything too. Look at that.
Ні, ну красота.
I think the kids watched Cocomelon on that.
Maybe he watched Cocomelon on it. Who are you to judge? Oh, man.
Як вам? Цікава в мене робота, правда? Бух. А мені похую, я не боюсь. Бачила би мама те відео, не знаю, пізди би мені дала. Тавер, як в тебе справи? Берем двоє чи візьме сам? Плюс. Цинки у ті, що біля... А? Тут хтось є? Є хтось? Вода.
Oh, dude, it's a diss track!
Зато як тобі село гарне? Красиво пізда, правда? Опна. Дорогу в Європу роблять. Отут я спав, мазута.
We've seen him walking through Hot Dog Man's
Побачив, коли
apartment.
я був, отут впівішка пробила сте... Дивись, чим летів. Оцю хуйню, то впівішка їбанула диву. А?
We now see them riding in the back of an APC. And that's the end of the clip, but showing the 3rd Brigade in the area. Great to see them there and still doing their thing. Moving on from that and into the next clip near Pisky, we were also able to see the 58th overriding Russian drones with their electronic warfare systems and causing them to crash off target. Check it out. Music will probably kick in here in a second, so let me just get ready on the mute button. I know it! I know it!
Glory.
It's been glory. But anyways, here comes the Russian drone right there. King Julian! The electronic warfare systems are just screwing these drones over. Right now, while these Russian drones are getting screwed over by the EW warfare systems, one Russian is pushing a doorbell on a tree in the middle of the forest, and a garland of explosives is falling on top of him and blasting him to bits. But that's the end of that clip right there. Very nice to see that the Ukrainians in the 58th Brigade are certainly using their best tech to be able to bring down these Russian drones. That's the end of that clip, but wonderful to see. Moving on from that and down near Novomikhailivka, we were also able to see a Russian tank exploding down here. All right, we're gonna be muting that. That's dude.
Oh.
Dude, when your dad is extremely drunk, and you know you're growing up in a bad household, you come around the corner and you say, Dad, what is it that you want? He goes, a beer. You see the tank blowing up right there. Ooh.
Jeez.
Oh, they're in the turret right over there.
Wow, bro.
Dude, we're losing our minds tonight. But anyways, moving on from Novomikhailivka and on down into the area of Kurenki, we're able to see a little appearance from our boy, Meteor. Hey! Meteor's Flying Birds. Let's give it a round of applause for Meteor's Flying Birds. They ended up taking out a Russian boss, like a mob boss or something. I don't know. But check out the clip. There he is. It's the Russian Tony Soprano.
Раночку доброго праведним людям. Побавимо трохи. Заодно побачите новий вид цукерок з цукрарні Абубаса. Ось він. Виходять йому, доповідають. Такий лох самонаводящий. Машину сховав подалі і типу пішки непоміченим з одним.
Maybe I was like that nutty professor or something. It's always a little bit kooky, but somehow they get things right.
Yeah, Matty, you're right. They do get something right somehow. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Нам палить. Але послідкуємо. Бравою ходою то нещастя приперлося аж вон з тої посадки. Аж там заховав машину. Добре. То не буде довге відео, попереду довгий день, 9 квітня. Ранковий вам комплімент.
Also, the Russian boss is moving. He's on the move.
Станом на ранок 9 квітня.
What's he wearing? A Beavis tracksuit?
I have no idea, but it's not camo. That's for sure.
Півтора доби. Я дуже вдячний вам за вашу активність. Тож, ранкового вам до кави, як то кажуть. Гребе, коротше. Навіть по стану, по ходу зрозуміло, що гребе бос. Так, що тут у нас?
Now he's in this house.
Так. А ні, вже так. Так. Дійшов, мазафака.
Oh, okay. Just English out of nowhere.
Та й дивимося, куди він там зайшов.
Deal игрушки и доли. Bitch! That's like, dang, okay, it's like, just out of nowhere.
Трохи розвернемо камеру. Пришвидшу, щоб
They went in this house. Bastard!
Секунди, очей.
Dude, that's like those Japanese folks on those streams where they make fun of like how like well no, it's not Japanese people, it's actually people talking about like Japanese shows or something like that, and how like they'll have them dubbed in Japanese, but whenever it comes to a word that doesn't exist in Japanese, they'll just say it in English. So it'll be like Totoromasu hot dog. And it's like, oh, it's like, what the hell is this? Like, you know, it's like, that was confusing. Dude, that's like Squid Game, honestly, you know, like how they would like throw in the English, like if you're listening to the real like if you're listening to the translation or whatever it was, you know, the dub or whatever. You know, they'd be like, cool,
I think so.
hamburger. You know, it's like, what the hell? Like,
Have you seen the guy? He's like in like some government like setting or like assembly or something like that. He was speaking like Japanese to like the chairman or something.
It was Filipino. Yeah, he was speaking to the guy, and the guy, and the Filipino president was like, "Can you speak English?" And the guy said, "F you." It's like, oh, he can speak English.
He just stopped speaking his language and just jumped right to English and got to the point. And everybody's like, "Oh, gasp!" He didn't say that.
Dude, it's like the president probably went, "Okay, he can." So it's like, well, now we know. But anyways, getting back to the clip here.
Від тої хати, як завжди, ніхто з пілотів не відведе і будуть працювати каруселями, хоча багато часу і не треба. Що тут у нас? Розвертаємося. Мачка бігає. Оп. Що тут? Вхід. Ось сюди вони занирнули після довгих проходів. І займаються своїми ганебними справами. Добре. Слідкуємо. FPV у повітря. Ранок починається цікаво. F7 вже коло хати. Ось цей вхід. Добротна дачка, 100% є підвальчик. Треба дослідити, куди б таке зайти, щоб дало гарантований результат. А цукерочок, ох, який ядрений. Такий, як треба. Віконце ні, треба понижче. О! Що там знизу? Там дірочка. Віконечко то високо, треба нижче. Ось вона. Ось. Бетонна дірка. То є добре.
Oh, look, a window.
It looks like it's been beat in a little bit. All the drones having some
Signal's
static.
getting a little rough.
Трошки перешкоди з сигналом, зрозуміло, на землі практично знаходимося. Оп. Ой, 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 ой. Ось вона.
Oh, right in the window.
Ось тут, хто уважний, зараз помітить роботу дрона. Ось він.
Oh, there it is right there. He's pointed out.
I think it's kind of sizable.
Dude, that thing was like a big dog or something like that flying around.
They got that dog on them.
Man, it's got that dog in him. It's about to take that dog out of him. Oh my God.
Oh, crap. Damn, it took the whole building out.
It took the whole thing with it.
I was wondering when they sent that in that window. I was like, is that really going to be able to get those guys, like, you know, that close, like, far back? It took the whole building out.
Dude, it didn't get the guy. What the hell is that? Is that a cat? Oh my God, a cat jumped out.
Oh.
Dude, look at that cat. That cat did like a combat dive out the window. It's like it went, yeah, look. And then it jumps out right there, lands on the claw,
Damn.
and makes his way on out. I mean, that cat was lucky right there.
That's an FSB cat.
Man, that was the Ukrainian rat right there. He was part of the Russian army and said, meow, they're at coordinate 3597, meow. Just blew it away. So the cat made it out.
На хату дивимося з іншого ракурсу. Ну, не знаю. Може там...
Yeah, I don't think that Russian boss made it out. Put it lightly.
Дуже дотошний патрулюрин відбувався. Жодного хробака ми не помітили, але сипануло.
And what was that house made out of? Like shipping pallets?
Знатно.
I guess. It's one of those Alibaba houses, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those AliExpress houses.
Really thin walls on it too.
Така ось хреновина бехнула. Дрон FPV, на відміну від всіх інших видів зброї, залізе де хочеш. І тут на сьогодні залишилося невизначена кількість хробаків, але один з них точно при погонах. Ну та чим пілотів?
Не завішена дирка невеличка. Зривайся.
Тихого і спокійного дня.
And for some bot just came up here and just said, y'all too cheerful for people getting cheeks clapped.
I saw that.
I said, dude, I think you have it wrong. Cheeks clap means something totally different.
Man, I'll tell you this. We aren't getting our cheeks clapped, but that guy's mom is getting their cheeks clapped.
Oh, no.
And into the next clip. We also get to see the Russians trying to lay down some sticks on a road to try and hide the road. Notice the thistles that they've been laying out on the length of the road. They're trying to hide a road from the Ukrainians. I have no idea why. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but they're trying to. Moving on from that and into our next clip in the area, we also got to see, also, Billy, what were you laughing at? I heard, and then their mic cut out.
I was just laughing at everybody's reaction to that. Everybody just saw it and was like, what the hell? It's like, that's a terrible thing to get mixed up with getting cheeks clapped.
Mission was successful. Cheeks clapped. It's like, dude, I want to see the Ukrainians put that in their military terminology. Today, the Russians attempted to use their T-90M in the area of Kherson. Result, cheeks clapped. But anyways, another T-90M was lost in the area around Kherson. Turret was tossed. Cheeks clapped. Best way to put it. But great to see. Wonderful to know that the Russians are still losing brand new T-90s that they're bringing into the front lines. Moving on from the Krinky area, it's now time for us to make it up to Kyiv to cover the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky here on day 776 of the war. And so, without further ado...
Dear Ukrainians...
No, we're not getting the English.
Dear Ukrainians...
Dear Ukrainians... Alright, so...
Ukrainsky.
Hello, Ukraine. Okay, so here's the speech.
Дорогі українці, українки, сьогодні Харківщина. Багато питань для міста, для області. Був на будівництві фортифікації. Дуже важливе посилення цього напрямку. Російські терористи повинні бачити, що Харківщина зміцнюється. Провів нараду з усіма, хто відповідає за захист області та відновлення нормального життя після російських ударів. Пишаюся нашими харків'янами. Я вдячний кожному і кожній, хто цими тижнями працював, щоб дати Харкову, області більше електрики, щоб дати більше захисту від російських ударів. Доповідали щодо фізичного захисту енергооб'єктів, відновлення мереж. Зараз створюються всі необхідні умови, щоб зменшити дефіцит електрики. Харків має отримати легші графіки. Окремо урядовці працюють над допомогою місту і області, щоб подолати наявні енерговиклики. Є правильні пропозиції, ми забезпечимо фінансування. Всі деталі урядовці оприлюднять. Провів зустріч з підприємцями Харківщини. Вдячний усім, хто зараз в місті, хто зберігає робочі місця для людей, хто підтримує нормальне життя. Мета Росії абсолютно очевидна. Вони хочуть зробити все, щоб витиснути людей з Харкова, з області. Все, чого торкається Путін, перетворюється на руїни. Ми повинні зробити все можливе і неможливе, щоб якнайбільше наших міст і громад були від нього захищені. Тут, у Харкові, відзначив сьогодні наших людей, представників Збройних сил України, Нацгвардії, поліції, ДСНС, які допомагають рятувати життя, захищають Україну. Вручив державні нагороди, але насправді все місто, вся Харківщина заслуговують нашої вдячності, нашої поваги, як і кожна українська громада, кожна наша людина, яка не підкорюється ворогу і робить все, щоб зберегти життя. І усі наші партнери у світі мають знати, що довіра до них та майбутнє демократичного, вільного світу можна здобути саме зараз, саме в таких містах, як наш Харків, як Запоріжжя, як Херсон, як багато міст Сумщини, Донеччини, як Миколаїв, як міста Чернігівщини, Дніпровщини, усі, де потрібно ППО, усі, які потребують політичної волі світу, рішень, щоб жити, щоб перемогти російський терор. Є і наші рішення для посилення ППО тут, у Харкові. Життя повинно вигравати. Я дякую всім світі, хто це розуміє. Дякую всім нашим людям, які додають Україні сили. Дякую тобі, Харків. Слава Україні!
And Hiram Slava. And right behind me is a nice, fine 1980 Lada for sale. Never abused. Was garaged. For sale today. Get it while it lasts.
No low balls. I know what I got.
Never abused. Always maintained.
Low mileage, very low mileage. But with that, that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky on day 776 of the war. And it's time for us to move on into the next segment of the stream, where we get to talk to all y'all. Hey! And most importantly, we're going to be answering our first live chat of the night. It was from someone. I sadly forgot who it was. I'm so sorry. All right, no. It was 420. Hey, turn up. And also, 420 asked, is there any way I can buy a Lada here in America? And yes, there is, baby. Yes, there is. You can buy one from SovietAuto.com. Here is a yellow Lada in all of its glory here in America for a small sum of $9,750. I'll take
10,000.
I'll take 3.
I'm not gonna lie, like this site is looking extra sus. This looks like a Shopify store for like a Lada. Like, where's this at?
I gotta say, it's a little odd, but let's see. It's near the Squak Mountain State Park Natural Area. Let's type that in.
I've never heard of that ever.
Squak Park.
Squatch.
Okay, so here it is. So here's the Squat Mountain.
In Washington.
Poo Point. Poo Point.
Man,
Wait a minute, is that where it
it's a
is?
joke.
Hold up.
The
That's
nudist, do you see the nudist park? Do you see the nudist park to the right?
What the hell?
It's temporarily closed.
Where
It's a family
is
nudist
this?
park. What the hell?
This is in Washington State. Washington is wild, and it's a what the hell?
Man,
So wait a minute.
family nudist park. That's freaking insane.
Hold up. Do you notice though? Wait, hang on. Let me switch this to satellite view really quickly. So, wait, hang on. So the Lada place looks like it might be right there in this record shop. Wait, it is. It's in the record shop.
Man, that's wild. Like,
no, it's actually up
what's
here.
up with this?
Oh, here it is. Here it is on the map. Soviet Car Museum. All right. So, beyond Poo Point, the nudist, the family-friendly nudist park, let's go check out the car museum. All right. So what do we have? Oh, so they actually have legit Ladas here.
Oh, look. Look at that. I don't know what to think, man. There's like too much going on. There's like a family nudist park right down the street. There's Poo Point Trail Point right down the road. And then you got the Lada SovietCar.com sales point right here. This is like the most whack area I've ever seen.
Poo. Oh my god.
Paragliding.
Yeah,
man, what kind of area is this?
Point. Dude, I have no idea. I want to know what's at Poo Point. Like, I want to know, like, what is up there at Poo Point? Is it like an outhouse? What is it? What is around this place? Like, what's in the water around here? Because this is a wild place.
Issaquah.
Man.
What Swedish Issaquah campus? What is that? A hospital? Swedish hospital?
Swedish. Dude, this place is a trip. I don't want to click on it because I don't know what it really is going to be. Like, but hey, look, REI. Look at that. They have an REI, Matthew. It can't be that bad. It's a Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's. You can't be a bad place for the Trader Joe's. But let's see here. A salmon hatchery in the middle of everything? What? There's just like, wait a minute.
That's different.
What the hell is in the middle of the neighborhood? It's a literal salmon hatchery, and they got a giant salmon statue.
That's ugly. That front of that look on that fish.
Bro,
look like Putin.
Dude, that thing looks like Jurassic. Oh, it's going. Oh my god!
Help! Help!
This place is something. I'll give it that. I'll give it that at a minimum. Like let's scroll back.
Someone says the home of the Costco headquarters. Seriously, what?
No way. This place is Poo Point. You're kidding me. Like Cougar Mountain.
Wild.
Cougar
Mountain.
You know,
regional wildland park.
with Poo Point or Putin Point over here, I'm highly doubting that cougars are the animal for this park. Like, and also the nudist park nearby. I have a feeling that the cougars are another form of cougar. And I don't want to know. But let's see here. Wait, is this that close to? It is that close to Seattle, man. This is like right outside of Seattle. This place.
Man, I've always heard Seattle's wild in a little bit, but I didn't know it was like this. This is outside of Seattle too.
Yeah, right outside.
Infinity Farm.
There's
a Christmas tree farm down there too.
Really? Wow, look at that.
Yeah, right there.
And you got Tiger Mountain.
They got a lot of trails around here too. Nature nuts.
Nature huts.
You gotta love my nuts.
Oh man, you love my nuts. You're gonna love my nuts. Let's see.
There's a wellness massage and emu ranch.
Emu? What the hell?
There's equestrians.
What the hell goes on in Washington State? Like, this is like literally like sandbox free-for-all land up here in Washington State. You can do anything up here, apparently. There's a tree farm over here, and it has no trees. Oh, well, it does. It has very, very small trees, but still, what the hell? Okay, so then there's horse and hay feed in the middle of all this. XP Inspection Services out in the middle of the woods. You get whacked if you go to XP Inspection Services. Like, that is a hit point right there. But let's see here. What in the hell? This place is just, I don't know what to make of it. And then you got concrete in the middle of this neighborhood.
Man, it's solid like concrete.
Man, that's concrete, baby. But oh my lord, unleashed dog camp for all of your dog fighting needs. And then you got
Yeah, man, I was about to say unleashed dog camp doesn't sound like the most like cozy place for your like friendly neighborhood pooch. It sounds like only the killers and like mad dogs go there.
Man, that's the Seattle equivalent of the Thunderdome down there at Unleashed Dog Camp. You send them in there, only the strongest come out. But then you got the Houthi Equestrian Ranch for all of your Houthi equestrian needs.
Equestrians.
Man, you know what? Someone said drop us down at Poo Poo Point. I'm gonna run the risk of Poo Poo Point because I'm having a feeling that a parking lot can't be too bad. But why is it called Poo Poo Point? I want to know. All right. So nothing freaky.
It looks nice, actually. Yeah, it looks very nice.
Okay, so is there any explanation why this is called Poo Poo Point? Okay. Head-in parking only. Well, it looks like a lot of people aren't following that rule, but who cares? It's Poo Poo Point. It's a free-for-all here. No parking.
Also, I see Epic Trains Canada and several other people saying, we're not in Alabama anymore. Would you see anything like this in Alabama? No, hell no.
Hell no.
If you had a poo-poo trail point in Alabama, you'd have people going, what in the hell?
What in tarnation? But let me go pull up Poo Poo Point. Why is it called this? Why is the trail called Poo Poo Point? Okay, so Poo Poo Point is a small knoll on the shoulder of West Tiger Mountain. The folksy name is a reference to the steam whistle sounds heard throughout the Tigers in the early days of logging. You're bullshitting me. There's no way you get poo-poo out of a steam whistle. No way in hell. I'm not believing them. That is named because it's funny. That's the entire reason they called it Poo Poo Point. And on top of that, the family nudist park right down here is leading me to believe things are not well. It's temporarily closed. I'm scared to even click on that. Like,
no, don't click on that.
No, I'm not even clicking on it off screen. I don't know what the hell's on there, and we're gonna avoid that. Wait a minute, there's a fox farm?
If that was in Alabama, like the nudist camp, some guy would walk up to it and be like, shit, man. What the hell are these kids into these days? Man, damn.
I don't know. I don't know about a family nudist park. Like, you know, y'all do you. It's a free world out there. But having the whole family get involved, I don't know about that. I'm just saying, you know, that like I'm one to not really put my foot down on many of these, but having the whole family involved in the nudist camp, and that's crossing the line I'm not comfortable with. I'm not gonna lie. Matthew, watch this, Matthew. A hit piece will be made about us for that. Like, why don't you want the kids out there at the nudist park? It's like, because that's not how it works. But anyways. This is a whack place, but still, you can get a lot, apparently, from the Soviet Car Museum for a nice, smooth $9,750. And in fact, you can get multiples of them. We could get many. We could just get many of them.
Just rack up the quantity.
I would like to buy your entire stock. Like, all of them, please, Blit. But wait a minute. Hang on, they got military vehicles? Hold up. Oh, these are ugly. No, we don't want those. Wait a minute, they got guns?
That's a Volkswagen Type 181?
Dude!
What in the world?
Oh my god, they got a Gas 53. Wow, it's 23.
Oh my god.
Wow, that is expensive. What is the inside? Wow, it's actually well restored. It actually is like brand new, pretty much.
What's the other stuff they've got? Like, they got some trucks?
They got trucks? What kind of trucks? Okay, so it's just the gas.
Oh, the gas.
What about that Zazz? I want one that's a little Zazz.
The gas or that Zazz.
We don't have any.
Oh.
All right. What about a Moskvik? Whatever this is. Oh, these aren't that... Oh, well, these are actually very bad. Like, these two, the orange ones. This one, though, I might be able to get behind that.
Man, this looks like that car that Mr. Faulty pulled up to in Faulty Towers. Like, he pulled up all janky and stuff to the hotel. It looks like that.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of does. So then they have the Ladas. They have a couple of these. The yellow one was
the green one's sick.
Dude, this one though, this is a Slavmobile right here. The Neva Sport. Like, dude, Gopnik.
Let's see that thing, man.
Wait,
it's got like 3 fans up front. It's got like 3 fans in the radiator.
Man.
It's got X's on the headlights.
Tracksuit stripes.
Hey, sure does. Oh my goodness. Oh dear, this is bad.
Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Oh, it's
Oh.
got the racing
Oh, they
seats.
put race seats in it.
Oh my gosh, it's actually racing something. What? No way.
Damn, man, look at the roll on that though. Like he's taking that corner and like nearly flipping. Like it's like almost off the like two of the tires.
Dude,
Look at that Polizei wagon behind it.
Dude, this is what East Germany looked like before the wall fell. This is a picture from time, man. This is a picture from back in time. But let's see. Oh, and they got the sickle and hammer on the side. Nice. So you can be a commie in your commie car. But this thing is $13.5 thousand, by the way. The funniest looking one. What about Eastern European cars in general? Oh,
That Volkswagen though is kind of like collector. That's a collector's piece.
Dude, this thing is
It's
god
ugly as hell, but I mean, like it's ugly as hell, but like a lot of history behind that one.
Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. I just realized, Matthew. This is no normal Volkswagen, Matthew. This is I've seen this somewhere. It's a Kubelwagen.
But it has a top.
Well, these have tops. Have you not seen them with the top on?
Let's go back to the other one. Let me see the other one. The hood's a little bit flatter on this one.
That's a Kubelwagen, man. That's just a modernized Kubelwagen.
It's like one of those Nazis when they escaped from Germany and they ran down to like South America and they like changed their name and their face and like their clothing and everything. It's like this is what this Volkswagen is basically. It's an escaped Nazi.
It's war. I know nothing of war, but still.
It turned yellow like a coward.
Dude, that's deep. That's deep. I was like, wow, that's deep. But anyways, with that, we got to stop this rabbit hole. I was just trying to answer that live chat question from 42420. We have super chats to address, and we haven't even gotten to them yet. But I hope y'all enjoyed this crazy rabbit hole of looking at Tiger Mountain and the area around it here in Washington, because it's one hell of a trip. That is for sure. But with that, I hope that does address that the best we can. And with that, Matthew, what is our question on the night? We haven't even gotten to the poll.
So the poll question that we have here says NATO allies need about 10 trillion to rearm, and should NATO increase to 4% GDP defense spending across the alliance? Not NATO itself, because obviously NATO doesn't raise money like that, but should each NATO member increase to 4% GDP? 79% said NATO should increase spending, 3% said decrease it, and 11% said keep the spending the same. And to me, it seems like 4% GDP is probably what we should set it at. But considering we're having a hard time getting members to simply meet the 2% spending requirement, it doesn't seem like that's really going to be realistic. But of course, I think I'm with the 79%. They should increase it, but it's just not going to happen. But Enforcer, what say you?
I agree. They should increase it. They're not probably going to increase it to 4%. A lot of them are hardly getting to 2% right now. But I think that it increases spending at least up to 2.5 to 3% would probably be great. So I hope that addresses that well, at least in my opinion. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and moving into our super chat questions, our first one tonight is going to go to Badger Bro, who puts in a $20 donation. And thank you very much, Badger Bro, for that generous support. He says, Enforcer, the USA has told Ukraine and Israel about red lines expected to follow, and what red lines has the USA told Iran and Russia? And if you were elected presidente, what red lines would you enforce to Russia and Iran?
Let's see here. Red lines that I would enforce to Russia and Iran. Any wars against any other countries inside of Eastern Europe, to include Moldova, really just Moldova, would probably be a red line that would be drawn. If there was any involvement of official Russian activity in Moldova, that would require immediate U.S. intervention in that conflict. Another thing that I would probably draw a red line is further involvement of the Russian armed forces in the support of the Bashar al-Assad regime inside of Syria, so that way hopefully the Syrian Democratic Forces can finally tip the scales and end up winning that civil war. Another thing I would draw the line on is Russian involvement in any naval activities, military naval activities, within the Mediterranean Black Sea area outside of the Black Sea. I would probably try and push the Turks to permanently close the straits to the Russian Black Sea fleet from there on forward. Another red line I would draw outside of the Russians to the Iranians is for the cessation of hostile activities being conducted by terrorist organizations affiliated with the IRGC within the region, to include Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Any attacks by those groups will be considered to be a legitimate attack by the Islamic Republic of Iran itself and will be dealt with in that accord. Another red line that I would put down for the Iranians is the seizure of commercial shipping vessels that are passing through the area of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Any seizures of those vessels will immediately lead to an armed confrontation by the United States on behalf of the nations that the vessels were flagged by, especially if they're Western nations, including any NATO members or any members of the G7. Also, any East Asian partners that may have their ships hijacked as well. A constant naval presence by the United States would be had within the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf. Any hostile actions or the veering of Iranian vessels, Iranian naval vessels, outside of Iranian territorial waters and into international waters or international navigational waters within the area of the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf will be treated as a hostile action, and the Iranian vessel will be seized or destroyed. Those would be most of the red lines that I would lay out to the Iranians. Of course, asking them to stop funding Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis is pretty much already trying to go to war with them. So I wouldn't say that, but I'd say that if they tried to conduct any hostile actions with those terrorist groups in the future, or if any of those groups conducted those acts, it would certainly be treated as an attack by Iran directly, considering that those groups operate on behalf of Iran. That would be the actions that I would take as a president of the United States, given the current situation. I would be a little less heavy-handed with the Russians, because once again, we have to remember that the Russians are a nuclear power, and we are trying to avoid an outright confrontation with them. But as far as Iran goes, we largely understand from their actions currently, they are certainly not a nuclear power. Otherwise, they would do whatever they want without any concern for what may happen, a lot like North Korea does. And so, going off of that, I would be much more heavy-handed in my response to the Iranians, and I would be a lot more brutal with the outcomes of crossing those red lines. It would certainly be severe, whatever may happen going down those routes. And a lot of people are probably going to say, wow, that sounds really heavy-handed on your end. And yes, it is heavy-handed. It's meant to be heavy-handed. And if the Iranians don't like it, they can do something about it. And they won't. That's the reality of it. They're not going to do something about it because they won't even do something against Israel when they blow away their commanders inside of Damascus. So much less are they going to do anything against the United States, especially when we put down our hands so hard in the area. Also, if any attacks were to happen by Iran, the immediate result would be pretty much a never-ending air campaign by the U.S. Across Syria, Iraq, and Iran, as well as Lebanon, bombarding and destroying any Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps camps and any facilities that are deemed to be in control of Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis inside of Yemen. Yemen would also be included in that bombing campaign as well, and that bombing campaign would not end until we believe that those forces have been so greatly reduced in ability or supply that they may as well be combat ineffective for the next several months to next several years. That's the way I would work the situation. And so with that, I thank you so much for the support, Badger Bro. I hope that does address that question fairly well and how I would go about it. But sadly, I cannot talk for the current administration and how they're planning on dealing with the issue. All I can hope is that it's hopefully a strong response, which, based off of prior actions in the Middle East, sometimes strong responses come, but they seem a little too late. In my opinion, they should have been done quicker. Not saying that the response is the wrong response. I believe that the bombing campaign that we conducted in Syria and Iraq was a fairly good response to the death of the 3 service members at Tower 52. But it should have been done a lot quicker. It should have been done as a direct retaliation to the strike instead of about a week later as it happened, and then the bombing campaign occurred. That was a little too late, in my opinion. It should have occurred within 2 to 3 days after the attack. But with that, I hope that does address that fairly well, at least the best I can. And thank you so much once again, Badger Bro, for supporting this channel and helping us to keep this thing rolling. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and our next one is going to go to BC Skyman, the channel legend. And he put in a $20 donation and put in a super sticker of the thick hippo jumping around and saying victory with a peace sign behind it. I'm telling you what, we're declaring victory over the hot dog man. But BC Skyman, thank you very much for that support. And Enforcer, what say you?
Hey, I love to hear it, BC Skyman. Thank you so much for the support and being here with us tonight and throwing in that super sticker. We absolutely love it. And I thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. Because it is folks like you who have helped to make this thing possible, BC Skyman. Why you didn't throw in a comment? I know what you would have said. It would have been kind words. And we appreciate that greatly. And we thank you so much for being an old guard of this channel, a channel legend, and being here with us again tonight. And so with that, thank you so much once again. And we're on to the next one.
And our next one goes to Marion Deemer, the longtime channel legend as well, who puts in a $20 donation. And thank you, Marion, as well. She said, I am here, just quiet. Slava Ukraine. And Marion said, it's fine if you want to lurk. We have plenty of lurkers here, longtime lurkers as well. And thank you very much for that support. But Enforcer, what say you?
And Marion, it's okay to be a lurker. It's okay to be a lurker. A lot of lurkers are here. A lot of them. Because when you really think about it, for 4,700 people to be here live right now, and for there to only be about, I think it's like 40 chats a minute right now at this current part of the stream, there's a lot of lurkers. There's loads of them. There's General Petraeus. There's the Czech Foreign Minister. There's Real Engineering. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of people who are quietly watching this show. I know it's totally fine to be a lurker. There's nothing wrong with that at all, Marion Demon. Don't be ashamed. But we do thank you for the support, and we do thank you for being here with us every night, and being here with us tonight and enjoying this stream and helping us to keep this thing rolling. Because folks like you help it to keep running, help it to be possible, and we greatly appreciate you. And so with that, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
All right, and our next one goes to Norman Ozen, who is a long-time channel viewer as well. And thank you very much, Norman, for that $10 support without a comment. But of course, we appreciate you very much, and thank you for helping to keep the channel running. And our next one is going to go to the Lady Kara, who puts in a 10. And says, thank you for helping bring logic to the daily Ukraine news and providing that lighthearted commentary and persistent oversight.
Hey, and thank you so much to Lady Kara for the support and helping this channel to keep running. I try and bring the logic to the news as best I can. Some people don't out there. Some people live in fantasy land. I try not to. But beyond that, I do thank you so much for appreciating it. I also thank you for appreciating the way we try and keep it upbeat and joke around on this channel. It's something that no other channel does. If any of them do, I've never heard of them. So if you bring it up in the channel and you go, how dare you? I've never heard of them. So they don't exist for me. But beyond that, I got to say thank you so much for enjoying the show and how we run it. I put in a lot of effort to make sure that we run it in a fun and enjoyable way. Even when we're worn down, tired, sick, and all that stuff behind the scenes, I always try and make sure that we still keep up a good upbeat tone and joke around and laugh, because a lot of y'all want to hear the news, and a lot of y'all also don't want to be emotionally overloaded by it. Some people act like that's the reality of things, like you're supposed to be emotionally overloaded by things. I say those people are full of garbage, and they're social, or they're virtue signalers, or whatever you want to call them, because why? Like I never have gotten the logic behind that, especially since I've grown up. I used to be one of those people who thought that things that were serious had to always be treated seriously. But as I've grown up, I've started to realize that that doesn't really fare too well, actually. It's of course what people want to do, because they want to sound like they're really serious-minded people and real intellectuals. But the reality is that a lot of people can't handle the real pressures and stress of what the real world is. Of course, behind the scenes, this is a very quiet job, actually. I sit there and I watch people get blown up, and it's incredibly graphic and everything, but that's something that I don't feel should be carried over from me to y'all. Y'all should be able to watch this news and know what's going on, as severe as it is, and still get a laugh and get a joke out of it here and there. Because beyond that, what is being serious going to really change? And that's one thing I've noticed too. It doesn't matter how much people cry, no matter how much people put flowers into the barrels of guns, or whatever the hell people are doing, or however many people are painting the streets, or whatever. It doesn't really change anything at all. And all the people who are on YouTube who act like they have to treat every single day of the war like it's a funeral, just because it's a war, they don't really do a lot to make sure that the Ukraine war community has a lot of longevity to it. They may actually be the reason that a lot of people are kind of clocking out of the war, because it's just too much to handle. It's too much sadness for too long, and people just don't want to see it anymore. They want it to end however, wherever, whenever, and a lot of people go hop off the ship because of that. And I try and understand that the best I can, because the most important thing about making sure that a country can win is making sure that, a side can win, not just the country, because this isn't really a Ukrainian national issue alone. This is really an international issue for the Western sphere. It's more about trying to keep people going for a long time. And that's something that a lot of people don't get. You can't do that if you emotionally overload people every day. People will wear out, burn out, and leave. It's very good to keep people chipper and cheerful and try and have them laughing and joking through it, although it's a terrible thing. And I thank you so much to Lady Kara for greatly appreciating that and enjoying that about this channel, because I feel like we're one of the few, if not the only channel that actually does that out there and tries to make sure the news is presented in a light way, although it's very heavy business. But still, thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running it. Thank you so much for the kind words as well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next one is going to go to Blue Flam 777 LSA, who puts in a $10 donation. He says, I am proud of my LSA flag. I, however, am a bit disappointed about not getting Matt's signature. LOL. Blue Flam, oh man. Like, let me tell you something. I sent out the signature to Pterosaur because he got a card that was signed by both me and the enforcer as a thank you for designing the flag. He's the only person to have a copy of my signature. And he didn't say it, but I know he was thinking it. He was thinking, my God, what is this? I guarantee he was thinking that. My signature is like a doctor's signature. It's something that it counts as a signature, but you're not really sure exactly what it is. It's just terrible. I can't describe it like all the way. You got to see it to know. But anyways, sorry about not putting the signature on there. But that fine, the enforcer signature represents the both of us. But of course, we appreciate the support. But enforcer, what say you?
And again, thank you so much for the support, Blue Flam. And I'm not going to lie, Matthew's signature is not that great looking, but
come on, man, you weren't allowed to say that.
Come on. On the flip side, though, on the flip side, I'm saying that because I'm also going to critique myself. My real signature is also terrible as well. Both of our signatures are bad. We were hardly taught how to write in school, so we kind of have a good excuse for it. But the thing is that the enforcer autograph, or the signature that's on all those flags, is not the one I sign my checks with, and it's not the one that I sign contracts with either, or anything like that. The actual signature I have is bad. It's actually really, really bad looking. It's as bad as Matt's signature. It took me weeks to actually make that autograph look the way it does on all those flags. Because I would, like Matthew can tell you, I had a notebook. And maybe one day we'll put that notebook up for auction, or the pieces of paper I had different variants of the signature on. I spent about 3 days straight making different variants. Every single signature was a different variant of the enforcer. And then finally, I went with that one that's on the flags as the final design. And then I ended up doing that one over and over and over. I did that signature about, I believe it was 100 times before we even put it onto the first flag that Pterosaur now has, and then that signature was the one that was used. It actually took a load of effort to put that signature onto each flag, and I was like hoping and praying when people got those flags that they would really love and appreciate those autographs, because it took so much effort on my end to make it look like that. It was really a load. Matthew can tell you, because I would finish making the news, and every night there's about like a 20 to 30 minute window when I get done making the news and doing everything for the stream, before the stream starts, where I get like a coffee and everything. I would go out there with Matthew and sit down, and I would have a notebook, and I would just be sitting over there just doing that autograph over and over and over in that notebook, trying to make sure that it was perfect for when the flags came. So it was a lot of work, but still, it's, that signature does represent both of us. But still, thank you so much once again, and thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And I still hope that you're proud of that flag and proud of that autograph, considering how much work and effort went into every single part of it to make sure that those flags of the Lee Spring Army could fly high around the United States, and here in the future around the globe. And so with that, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that well. And also, someone said, do you write cursive? No, we were never taught. Actually, here's how learning how to write went in my school. They said in 2nd grade, okay, we're going to teach y'all how to write print. And then they didn't teach us in 2nd grade how to write print, because they said, oh, wait a minute, actually, y'all are going to learn how to write cursive in 3rd grade. So wait until 3rd grade, and then they'll just teach y'all how to write cursive, and so that way you don't even have to learn print. You'll just learn print on your own later. And then 3rd grade came around, and then the teacher I have for 3rd grade said, you know what, forget cursive. I'm not teaching y'all cursive. Y'all learned print last year, so y'all should be good. So I didn't learn how to write cursive or print from school. I had to end up learning it entirely on my own. So I ended up only writing print only, and the way I actually write now, I write in block print because that's the easiest way for people to be able to read my writing. So technically, I actually was not taught how to write. I had to learn it myself. And so I only know print, have no idea really how to write cursive well, and that's also why it took so long to get that autograph down. But with that, I hope that does.
You know, the funny thing is though, like even though a lot of young people, not just not just Alabama education system, but a lot of young people can't like write really well in even print anymore, much less cursive, like not even touching cursive. They did sacrifice all the writing skills for really fast typing skills. And I know that's not the same thing as being able to write, like not even close. But I mean, I can type pretty damn fast, even though I'll be honest with you though, like I can write perfectly fine. Like that's perfectly good. I can do slight cursive, like some very basic cursive, but the signature's no good. But it's just weird. Like these days, I really don't like write a lot using like a pen and paper because most stuff is digital now. At least for me, I don't write a lot at all.
Yeah, I mean, we hardly write by hand. Very rarely do I ever. Usually it's on cards for birthdays and other kinds of big deals and events. So I hardly write, but I only know how to write in block print. So it takes a lot to be able to write because we didn't really get taught that. So with that, well, at least I know I didn't get taught that. I think Matthew actually got taught a little bit of cursive, but I got nothing, like nothing at all. But with that, I hope that does address that well, and also I hope that really makes y'all appreciate some of the blessings y'all getting taught in actual schools. Because where we went, it was in the backwoods, so it was just like whatever went. And sometimes the stuff you would learn was crazy. Like for example, we actually learned to hear in my school in high school, and by that time I knew enough history to know that it was BS. We were told that America invented the steam engine and the Industrial Revolution started in America, not Europe. And if you know anything about real history, you'll actually know that it was James Watt who invented the steam engine inside of the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom is where the Industrial Revolution began. But here in our school, we learned completely different. And it was so stupid because if you actually read the history book that was provided for the class, it actually said that the Industrial Revolution started in Britain, and the first person to invent the steam engine was James Watt. But then the teacher just decided, yeah, you know what, we're going to throw that out the window, and we're going to give this random American guy the credit for inventing the steam engine and then starting the Industrial Revolution. So now you can kind of get an idea of what public education was like here. It was not that great. So we were very odd comeuppances, really anomalies of the education system here in this state. But with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next super chat this time is going to go to Duncan VR, the channel legend. And of course, he has those classic animal noises, a 100% certified hood classic on the channel. He puts in a 12 as well and says, Ba Mooba, meow, quack. The marmot is eating hot dogs, moo, oink. Kermit is at the poo-poo nudist camp. He added the poo-poo to nudist camp. I made it a little bit kinkier. Meow, woof. The marmot said, hello there. Would you like a fly? Oh my. Wait a minute. Oh my. I don't even know what the hell's going on. But no respect. Baba, quack. Oh my. There we go. Damn.
And I thank you so much for the support, Duncan VR. Help this channel to keep running. You really threw Matthew for a mental loop right there. He was doing some gymnastics.
Yeah, my mind was just losing it, man. I was like in a feedback loop.
But still, I appreciate the support, Duncan VR, and I thank you for helping this channel to keep on throwing, keep on running, and for us to keep on throwing the live chats because we're doing terrible tonight. But still, thank you so much once again for the incredible support, Duncan, and helping this channel to keep running. Because folks like you helped make this thing possible. And if it wasn't for folks like you, we wouldn't be able to keep this channel running. And so with that, thank you so much once again. And we are on to the next one.
And our next one goes to Andy L, who puts in a $10 donation. And thank you very much, Andy, for that support. He says, a flag is on my wall of fame. And Andy, I did see that photo today. I don't think the enforcer got to see it just yet because I hadn't shown it to him yet. But that was a very nice photo indeed. It's up on the wall next to a very, very nice flag with a nice signature on it as well. And also some taxidermy deers, I believe it was. So I'm very happy to see it on the wall of fame, and I'm also happy to hear you're happy with that flag. Everything's just happy all the way around. But unfortunately, what say you?
And I gotta thank you so much. I'm just going crazy over here, man. I'm like happy. But still, thank you so much for the support, Andy L. Thank you so much once again for being a long-time channel legend. And also, I love to hear this on the Wall of Fame. I can't wait to see the picture. I haven't seen that one. I've seen one on a truck. I've seen some on walls, and I've seen some in bedrooms. And I have not seen the one on the wall yet. On your Wall of Fame. So I'll be looking for that picture. Hopefully Matthew will show it to me after stream because I want to see it. I love seeing the flags, and I really love, actually, I'll tell you all the best pictures that I love seeing for everyone who's still here that has one of those flags. I really love to see the pictures where y'all are holding them. Because usually y'all are smiling big as anything in the pictures from what I've seen, and y'all are so proud to hold them. And it really makes me happy to see people that are that happy with the flags and that proud of them. So those are my absolute favorite pictures that we've seen so far. But I love seeing them anywhere and everywhere. And we've seen them literally anywhere and everywhere at this point. We also saw one, this one was one that stuck out to me. I believe it was an LSA flag on the side of a car, Matthew, and there was like an Irish wolfhound right under it.
Yes, that was one I showed you.
Yeah, I love that one too. I thought that was really cool because it was a little dog. Look at it. Oh, how cute. But still, thank you so much once again for support, Andy L. I hope that does address that well. And thank you so much once again for getting one of those flags, helping this channel to keep on running, and enjoying the channel enough to be a true member of the Lee Spring Army. And so with that, thank you so much once again. And we are on to the next one.
And also, by the way, I think Duncan VR wanted to see that marmot, by the way.
Oh?
He wanted the marmot.
Man, he wanted... Alan! Let's go pull it up. Excuse me. Man, I gotta tell you, man, that food I ate before stream, man, that stuff was good. But let's see here. Oh, hello there! Hey! It's the marmot! Let's go! It's Alan. Alan! Yeah! Oh, tuberculosis coming out. But still, but with that...
Wait, put it on the marmot. Oi, bruv. I smell a little hot dogs out here. Salty hot dogs. That's right, a salty hot dog seller. We have a diss track on you, man. You want to see a diss track?
That smells like a diss track. But still, it's the marmot, baby. We love to see the marmot. We love to see the marmot and the fly. Fly, do you have any comments? Oh, man. I can't wait to see that diss track. Oh, man. But you can't wait, you smiling, slimy bastard. But still. Torture! But still. It's the freaking marmot. Don't y'all love the marmot? Don't y'all love it? I love it. I love the marmot. I love the thing. And it's coughing up blood. It's weird rat-like head. It's sitting on the rock and plum. And also that cake.
Man, I just realized that fly would love to like get a piece of that rock. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 kilo of that rock. Like that fly would die for that.
Man, I want it laced with Fent. Oh, I like Magic Bros for $1.50 with a hot dog.
Hey, look at that hot dog emoji on the YouTube. That's crazy.
Oh man, dude, I love to see it, man. Oh, and you know one other thing. Oh man, I gotta say, I love to see that it's just going so well. It's so well, and the marmot is really the peak of it. It's just wonderful to see it. I love it. But nevertheless,
you know what's crazy though? Like seriously speaking, is like even right now, to this day, every single night, a load of Hot Dog Man's like top goons watch this stream. They're watching it right now, and they're listening to me say this even, and they watch it religiously every single night. They're fake haters, man. I'm telling you. Like, what hater like follows someone this closely that they hate? Like, they got kicked out. Most of them got kicked out of the LSA because they were either really nasty to other viewers and other members of the LSA or something like that, and they got kicked out. So then they went over to Hot Dog Man's camp, because that's where the only place they get fit in and not rejected pretty much because they had bad attitudes.
That's like the penal colony of the LSA. It's like you've been bad, you're sentenced to Hot Dog Man. It's like go over there.
Like, they're mad in Hot Dog's camp, but in reality, though, they keep peering through the window of Hot Dog Man's jail cell, looking back over here, going, "Oh, the days of the LSA." Like they're just like dying to get back in, and right now they're probably seething. They're probably like foaming at the mouth right now that we're saying this.
Oh, you know, right now, like the phone lines are being burned down. They're talking about us. They're talking about you. You know, like they're doing something like that. Oh man, you know, and it really does give me a kick because I remember back in the day, Matthew. Because in case y'all don't know, because I did see someone say that they were loving the channel and this is their first time here. Welcome, by the way. But the thing is that for the longest time, we have a very strict rule that we run on this channel. We are polite to all of y'all, and y'all are polite to us, and y'all are polite to each other. Everyone's polite to everyone here on this channel. And it's supposed to be a civil place, you know, an escape from the normal realm of the internet where people are wild and savage and absolutely crazy and usually depraved as well. And this is, you know, a nice place to be. And so when people break that rule, we give them a chance usually to, you know, fix what they did or to, you know, do it right. And then if they don't, they're banned. Like it's a permanent ban. They're just gone because we don't have that kind of stuff here. It's either you're civil and nice to everyone, including us, or you're not here. And so a lot of people would end up getting banned because they would end up just choosing that today was the day, and they go feral and be really rude, either to us or people in the chat. And they get banned. And so they always ended up going to this one channel. And we're not going to say their name because we're not even going to give them the credit of utterance of their name. But they'll go over there, every single one of them, even to this day, they somehow always end up there. And then they end up hating the channel. But the thing is that while they hate the channel, they still watch us every night. So I don't know what it is. It's like either they hate us, and if you hated us, you wouldn't watch us anymore, or you secretly like us and you continue to watch us and you just hate that we ended up banning you. It's like I don't know which one it is.
Option.
This is the second option. I think they just hate us because we banned them, but they still like the show. Because why in the world would they be over here if they hate us that much? Because when I hate something, I hardly watch it at all, like or I don't watch it. And that's quite easy for me. I'm like, I don't like it, I won't watch it. So you have to like it to watch it. That's my mindset. But that's also the big thing about this channel. You won't be banned if you're always nice and civil to people. And if you're not having a good night, hey, just sit it out. You know, like just don't say much anything to anyone. Just be a lurker. And you know, once you start feeling better, come back at it. But you can't be rude. I mean, you know, that's crazy. Like people have had a mindset in the past, and it's crazy to me to see that this is like the equivalent of like a normal corporation like McDonald's or Publix, which I've worked at, and where people can like cuss us out and then they get away with it. And that's not how this works. It's like there's no way that that's ever how it's going to work, because I worked at those jobs and it's not going to be like that because I'm running the show here. It's like, you know, if you have a problem, you know, it's fine to disagree or something, you know, politely and everything. But once you start cussing us out and getting rude with us, that's it. You know, that I won't have. And I won't have that against anyone else either, because I don't know where people get away with thinking that they can do stuff like that. But with that, I hope that does address that well as to what we're talking about, because those people are still watching right now, Matthew. You know, they're burning down the lines. They're probably talking about me. Like it's like they're getting like a mention.
They're already burning down the lines. Like they're already like denying it and everything.
Really?
It's crazy.
Dude, and they're, no, I never watched your show. Is they're watching it to even know that we're saying this? No, I never watch it. Like,
we were just trying not to laugh the whole time, like watching the reactions and stuff. Like it's insane, man.
Man, goodness, it's funny. But nevertheless, enough on that. They waste enough time as it is of their own lives. Why waste time in my own life? But still, with that, I thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. We addressed that well, and thank you once again. We're greatly appreciative of your support and helping this channel to keep on running. But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and our next one is going to go to AMX10 Speedy Bang Bang, who puts in a $10 donation and says, I had an old workmate whose laugh sounded like yours. I miss him. Your laugh is brilliant.
And thank you so much for the kind words, AMX10 Speedy Bang Bang. Some people love my laugh, some people hate my laugh. I don't know where it came from, because Matty can tell you, my laugh has actually drastically changed over the years. It changes like every few months. It will turn into a completely different laugh. But I gotta say, I thank you so much for appreciating it, because I don't know where the laugh comes from or how it is, but still, people find it funny or people absolutely hate it. And I thank you so much for appreciating it and really finding it to be funny, because otherwise you'd hate it. And I hate to know that you hate it, but still, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address that well. And thank you so much once again for the kind words. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Edward Brady, who puts in a $10 donation as well. He says, take one from the chat and keep up the great work.
And we will keep up the great work, Edward. You know we always will. And I got to thank you so much for the support and helping this channel to keep on running so we can keep up the great work. And so, let's get one from the chat, Matthew.
And this one is going to go to Barry Woodward, who says, how does Turkey enforce the prevention of Russian Navy vessels from passing?
They do that with their own navy. That's why the Turks have a really big navy. They also do that with coastal defense. There's no way that the Russian ships would ever be able to thread the eye of the needle going through the Bosphorus and the Dardanelles with Turkish anti-ship missile defenses set up all through the entrance and the exit. Those ships would be obliterated before they ever made it in. So really, it's just a strong defense that makes sure that they will be able to secure themselves control over the passage. And so with that, I hope that does address that well, and thank you so much once again for sponsoring that live chat and helping this channel to keep on running, because it is folks like you, once again, Edward, who help this thing to keep on rolling. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next one is going to go to Brittany Taz, who puts in a $10 donation. And thank you very much, Brittany, for that support. She says,
Wolverines! Rosamahi! But Wolverines! And thank you so much for the support, Brittany Taz, and helping this channel to keep on running, because it is folks like you that help to make this thing possible. So thank you so much once again, and I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and our next one goes to the Backhoe Mafia, who puts in a $10 donation. I've heard Crystal's mom might be a part of the gang. But would you fart? Would you fart in the red phone if given the chance? And so the Russians can hear the sound of freedom with the eagle.
Squawk! Thank you so much for your third support, Backhoe Mafia. And also, I like your absolutely dripped out Bugs Bunny that you have in the profile picture. Very nice. But beyond that, I would not fart into the red phone. I don't know why my voice like almost gave out right there, man. I said I would not fart into the red phone. Like, it sounded like I was getting scared, but I would not fart into the red phone. I would piss on the red phone. But with that, I hope that does address that well, and thank you so much once again for your support, Backhoe Mafia. And the real answer to your question is maybe. It depends on if I'm the president or not. But with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Lord Lathos, who puts in a $10 donation and said, so saith Lady Lathos, Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un, the modern day Three Stooges.
You know,
I think they might have said the modern Three Stooges.
Yeah, I think they may be. Yeah, you're right, Matthew. And I would agree with you, Lord Lathos, Lady Lathos, that they are the Three Stooges, and they have the haircuts too. One's bald, that's Putin. One has actually Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un actually have fairly similar haircuts. Just sort them out. You know, whichever ones you want to be. You like curly? Check this out, bling. Just like pokes their eyes out.
You know, the original Three Scrooges, or Stooges, used to like really get injured, like when they were filming that stuff, like seriously badly injured. Like they were like making a joke to themselves to the point of like actually getting physically harmed.
Dude, I heard that one of them one time, like, and this is actually, Matthew, you know the series Jackass, right?
Yeah, with that dude that sounds like he's like this
all
the time.
I'm so and so, and welcome to Jackass. And then one of them gets shot by a shotgun with a beanbag in it or something like that. Anyways,
what's the guy's name? That main guy in it. His name is. Hey guys, it's Stevie-O.
Steve-O. Yeah, hey guys,
Steve-O.
it's Steve-O. And I'm absolutely coked out right now. But anyways, that was actually close to sounding like him.
That was close, actually.
But moving on from that. The three back in the day, Matthew, the Three Stooges, whichever one ever went, he sat there and went, "Hi, welcome to Jackass," and then like beat the other one over the head with a hammer or something, and then thus Jackass was born. But I seriously think that that the Three Stooges walked so Jackass could run. Because the kind of and I'm not saying I I'm not saying I respect or like condemn Jackass or anything like that. But one thing I will say is that you gotta have a little bit of respect for people who will literally torture themselves physically for comedy. That's something that you gotta say it's pretty wild. I wouldn't do it, so I gotta respect people who would. But still,
I saw him go on Gordon Ramsay's cooking show, and he grabbed the bottle of hot sauce and poured it in his eyes.
Oh no, dude! Don't remind me of that. I've seen a lot, but that still hurts me a little bit. But anyways, with that. I hope that does address that well. And thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that was a good rabbit hole right there. And thank you so much once again, Lord Lathos, for supporting this channel and helping us to keep this thing running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And up next, a big shout out to Ray Whaler Jr., as well as Butchie777, who each puts in a $10 donation. Hey! And thank you very much, Ray and Butchie, very much for that support and helping to keep us running. And Enforcer, what say you?
I gotta say to both of you, thank you. Thank you so much for helping this channel keep on rolling. Ray Whaler, thank you for your 10 super chat. Butchie777, thank you for being a legend. Thank you to both of y'all for helping this channel keep running. We're greatly appreciative of both of y'all. And we wouldn't be able to do it if y'all weren't here. And so with that, thank you so much once again. And we're on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Made in Canada 182, who puts in a $10 donation. Hey! And says someone in the LSA with skills needs to do Photoshop a poo-poo point map into the marmot painting. And please take one from the chat on me.
Thank you so much for the support. Made in Canada 182. And I gotta say, that would be a good idea. Someone see about doing that. I know someone who probably will be Nutters. Nutters will probably end up doing it. But see about it. I would like to see how that turns out. But still, thank you so much once again for the support, Made in Canada 182. I hope that does address that well. Thank you so much for giving the Lee Spring Army an idea. Because the Lee Spring Army is all about ideas. And so with that, we're on to the next one.
And the question from the chat is going to go to Rolf Robertson, who says, what's the chance this goes all the way without a major outbreak of war?
Good question. Probably slim. Because I still think that an all-out war will generally be avoided by the Russians and the West because neither one of them really wants that. So I have a feeling that the chances of it going into an all-out war is somewhere around 10 to 15%, if I had to give it a percentage value. But with that, I hope that does address that live chat fairly well. Thank you so much once again for support, Made in Canada 182. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and our next one is going to go to Herp Derp NV, who said, and puts in a 10, by the way, and thank you very much. It said, got a hood request for Town Avenue and 5th Street in Los Angeles, California, doing the LA Chamber of Commerce dirty here.
Town Avenue. Where is this? In Los Angeles. All right, Town Avenue in Los Angeles. Let's go. All right, here we go. All right, so what streets are we looking for? All right, we're going for 5th Street on Town Avenue. All right, so what do we got here? We got Town Avenue right here. All right, we're looking for 5th Street. So which way's up and which way's down? All right, Town Avenue. Town Avenue, there we go. Town Avenue. Where's 5th Street? Dagnabbit. Where in the world? Dude, the streets are whack in the city. Let's see. Let me go find...
I can't see it.
Because I'm on the second screen. I'm like looking around for it first. Dang, I can't find it. Let me go type in 5th Street in Los Angeles. Maybe I'll be able to find Town Avenue better that way. 5th Street, Los Angeles. Okay, so here's 5th Street. Way up here. And then there's, let's see here. So there's 5th Street. All right, so where's Town Avenue, huh? Where is Town Avenue? Where the hell is this? There's Weston Avenue. Oh, man, we about to be in a Weston. Let's see here. Bobby dipped. I can't find this place. You got to be specific about these street corners because sometimes you'll end up in the suburbs if you aren't. Town Avenue and 5th Street. Town Avenue and 5th Street. Oh, wait, hang on. I found 5th Street again. Is Town Avenue here? Wait, what's 5th Street? Town Avenue. Come on. Yeah, but I wish we could get an address for that. Because I found Town, and then I found the other one, but I can't find the both of them where they intersect. Dang, man, this is tough. This is okay. So I'm gonna bring it over here on screen because this is tough as hell. I can't find the thing. So let's put in Town Avenue. All right, so here's Town Avenue right here. So we follow this up. I'm assuming. This is the problem. This is the problem, Andy. Look, the streets just go all wonky. I don't know where Town Avenue is at this point. This 5th is all the way up here somewhere. Way up here. Like
this is a street hell going wild in this.
I know, dude. This is like suburb hell out here. Look at this. This is rough. God bless everyone in Los Angeles. Because
let's see. Miss Disa said downtown LA near Toy District.
The toy. What do you think I am, a toy? But let's see here. The fashion district, the finance district, Koreatown, rooftop Koreans, Chinatown, Lincoln Heights, Rose Hill, the toy. Let's go. Let's just type in toy district, Los Angeles. All right. So there's 3rd, 5th Street, Town Street, 5th Street, Wall Street. Not. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, we got Town Avenue. Is that it? Is that it, Matthew? Double check. Town Avenue is the one we're looking for, right?
Town Avenue and 5th Street.
We got it. We got it. Here's the intersection that we're looking for right here. All right. And...
Ooh,
right. Get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Wait a minute, turn around. Turn around and look. Goodness gracious.
This is that place, Matthew. What's his name? That Tyler Oliveira went where he almost got killed. Remember that?
Yeah, I've never been here or anything like that, but I wonder if it's even is anyone who's from here know if it's safe to even drive through here or walk through here, or is it that dangerous?
I've heard that the crime rate's pretty high here, and in fact, the police actually cordon off the area once sundown comes around, and you're pretty much stuck in here if you're here when they cordon it off because it's that bad. So it pretty much becomes the Thunderdome after dark.
Damn.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, the building.
This is that place where the people would steal stuff. And then they'd bring it to some kind of middleman market or something and sell it on the side.
Yeah, this is it. Wait a minute, hang on. Isn't this Skid Row? Hang on, let me check that. Yeah, it's Skid. Okay, so this is just Skid Row right here.
Damn, that's kind of a weird name to call it the Toy District on Skid Row.
Yeah, that's it, man. I don't think they're selling toys. You know, I mean, I think but anyways. This is a rough place. I mean, this is a pretty sketch place right here. Let's see what this place. Oh my god. Oh man, I was like, is that a Shanty Shack? No way. But yikes. Yeah, this is a rougher one. It's random stuff laying around.
I thought the guy stuffed in his trunk.
Bodies, maybe. I don't know. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh my goodness, this is actually pretty rough. I mean, there's just random junk here. Wait a minute.
Hey man, they've got what is that? A motorcycle?
Boosted motorcycles in the middle of the street.
Man, they got freaking a whole inventory of junk.
Dude, this isn't a homeless camp. This is an auto dealership. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh my god. But wow, this is crazy. This is legitimately crazy. Because I didn't know that Street View went through here where you could see it. I thought, they just didn't. But wow. I'm not gonna lie, the sides of the street almost look like you're driving through the middle of a landfill with how much garbage there is lying around. That area got cordoned off. Dude, the car was here, and then the police showed up. Police activity. And then they just cordoned that spot off. You can still see some. What?
Oh, I was about to say. Also, I saw Jay Nozovic say in the live chat that they hear Birmingham is just as dangerous. Birmingham does have a bit of a problem. If you walk down the sidewalk in Birmingham, there are some fellows that wander around that are a little bit off. Just say it kindly like that. That will mess with you. I remember distinctly when I was going to college downtown, and even the enforcer had experiences like this. There'd be those random people walking up and down the street just sort of yelling and talking to themselves, and sort of a couple of them messed with us a couple of times. We just sort of walked on and sort of told them to back up, and they sort of backed up. But it's dangerous in Birmingham. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not sure if it's this bad.
So let's see. I'm trying to get a number here per 100,000 on the homicides in LA versus Birmingham. Let's see here. In Los Angeles, that's not an accurate number. That's from 2014. See, I can't really find a good year number for Los Angeles that's recent. Let's see here. Sadly, I can't find one, but I would assume that it is probably as dangerous in downtown Birmingham as it is Los Angeles. Downtown Birmingham is a rough place. There's different parts of each city that are good and bad. Because Los Angeles isn't all garbage. there's actually some really, really nice parts of Los Angeles. You know, there's loads of them, like the Beverly Hills right up here, you know, and everywhere else. So it's not an entirely bad city. It's just that in every single city you're going to have bad parts and good parts, and it's just like that with Birmingham, just like that with Los Angeles. That's why I don't get when people get greatly offended that we point out bad parts of cities, because yeah, you know, this is a bad part and it's crazy to look at and funny to look at, but at the same time there's also very nice parts that are really worth going to and seeing. But still, this is a very rough spot right here down in Skid Row. I mean, like, you would be bad set to be down here, mostly because it just looks like it is hell on earth. Also, from what I've seen online from YouTube videos of people going here, it is more dangerous than it would seem. There's a lot of violent people that are down in this place, and it's legitimately crazy. That's the best way to explain it. But with that, I hope that does address that well, and thank you so much once again for the support and allowing us to do a hood review running on empty. But still, thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel to keep it running. I hope we were able to show that hood review fairly well, and thank you for letting us look at another hood dive and dump of the United States. And so with that, thank you so much once again, HerpDerpNV, for the support, helping this channel to keep running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And also, I saw Jay Nozovic say in the live chat, the random yelling people aren't a danger. Believe me. No, I disagree with that, because like I distinctly remember like some guys in Birmingham walking down the street. They'd be walking normal. Then like 2 seconds later, you'd hear, "No, man, I ain't having that shit." And you'll turn around and look like, what the hell's going on? And you'll be like, there's nobody standing in front or behind the guy. And it's like when they put their arms and hands up and they start like fighting the air. That's why I'm like, I'm up out of there. Like, I'm gone. I'm not standing around here waiting to see what happens with this.
Man, you remember the time that I almost actually got like stuck up in downtown?
Oh yeah,
Birmingham
when you get out of your car.
Yeah, when I was getting out of my car and I was trying to feed the meter, and I fed the meter. Just so to tell you all the story, I was trying to get to class one day, and I didn't have like any parking near the university, so I had to park way in downtown and walk. So I parked in downtown and I fed the meter with quarters, and as soon as I did, this guy comes up behind me. I didn't see him. He said, "Hey, man, you got some money?" And I said, "Nah, man, I don't have anything." He's like, "Nah, man, I mean, you got some money." And I was like, "Nah, I don't have nothing, man. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I only have these quarters here, and I just put them in the meter." He was like, "Man, give me some money." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not giving you nothing. I got nothing." He was like, "Give me money." I'm like, "No, dude, I'm not giving you nothing." Like, I started like leaning almost into my car because I had a piece in the car. So if anything was going to happen, I was just going to leap into the car pretty much and grab the piece. And so then the guy, and I guess the guy saw me starting to lean further and further into the car as he was talking, and so then he went, "Shit, man," and then he just started walking down the street. But the guy the entire time, he had his hand in his jacket, like in his jacket across, like his right arm was like in the left side of his jacket. So after I started thinking for a while when I was walking the class, I was like, I wonder if that guy had like a knife or something. He was about to try and like stick me up for money if I had anything, but I was just so adamant. I was like, "Nah, dude, I don't have nothing. What the hell do you want?" And so he eventually just walked off. But yeah, downtown Birmingham can be really dangerous. And that's why I highly encourage that if you go to downtown Birmingham and you don't know where the nice part is or the bad part is, always just make sure that you're packing, you know what I mean? But anyways, with that, I hope that does address that well, Jay Nosowitz. And with that, we were on to the next one. But thank you once again, HerpDerpNV, for the support.
And also Tom Mixman said, Andrew also started a robbery. That's why I told him too. I said, I think you were getting basically like scoped and kind of like about to get robbed, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was.
And you were like, I don't know. He might have been about to rob me. I'm like, no, man. He was about to like take everything you had.
I was trying to downplay it, but yeah, I was about to get shaken down right there. Like I was like, oh damn. I was like, this is like, I knew it when it started happening. I was like, this guy is about to rob me right here. I was like, I need to start leaning in towards the car. Towards the pistol pretty much, because this might go bad, especially if the guy's got a weapon on him. Luckily it didn't. He just wandered off. And I think it was because the guy just kept on noticing that I started like leaning farther and farther into the car, and I was about to literally just leap into the car almost. But with that, I hope that does address that well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
Is soft mugging such a thing? Like what 420 said, homie was soft mugging. Like, is there such a thing as like a hard mugging and a soft mugging? It's like, what the hell? Oh, dear Lord. But anyways, moving on from that one, we're moving on to our next super chat, which goes to Old Buzzard, who puts in a 5 and says 185 subscribers, 185,000, and still on a roll. And Old Buzzard, we're still on a roll. The same thing cannot be said for the Hot Dog Gang, but that's okay, though, because we don't care. But thank you all to the LSA for making the 185,000 possible, and hopefully tomorrow it'll be 186. But Enforcer, what say you?
And I gotta thank you so much for the support and the congratulations on 185. Hopefully it will be 186 soon. We're up right now to about 185,700. So we probably will pass 186 tomorrow, which is going to be so cool. Because we're getting incredibly close to 200,000 subscribers, and I cannot wait for that. My mom is actually really excited. I actually want to hit 250,000 subscribers. That's like the big number in my head. My mom is really happy with 200,000. So she said that we're going to throw a party when we reach 200,000 on the channel. So I can't wait for that. Like, I can't wait. I'm excited for that. But still, thank you so much once again for the support. Thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And thank you so much for congratulating us on passing 185,000, of course. But thank you, Old Buzzard, for being a legend. Thank you for helping this channel to keep on running. And I hope I was able to address that well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Robert Johnson and also Badger Bro, who each puts in a $5 donation. And thank you both very much for that support, and of course, helping to keep the channel running. And also, in honor of those two, we are going to look at the live chat once again. I see some people saying, aren't y'all allowed to be packing? Well, no, we weren't. At the college, they didn't let you walk around packing. They didn't let you do that. So they kind of took away your ability to defend yourself on the way to college, and they made you park all the way down the block, like a couple of blocks away, where you sort of had to run the gauntlet to get to the college between all the crazy folks that were on the way in between the parking lot and the college. So,
wait a minute. I got an answer for that. No, the college didn't allow it, but here was my workaround. I didn't buy a parking pass, so I didn't park on campus. I always parked off campus, so I wasn't bound to the rules, at least as far as what I was carrying in my car. So if the car would have never gotten searched by campus authorities because it wasn't even on campus anyways. So I pack a pistol in it every day, and I just go drive and park off campus every single day. So that way I could leave the pistol in the car and then go to college, and of course not have anything on me, and then walk back to the car. But if anything happened to the car or anything happened around the city, because it was actually really common that people got robbed, people got beat up at UAB, and people got their cars broken into. It was incredibly common at UAB. So all the time. Yeah, it was very common. Like every single one of our classmates knew someone that was robbed, mugged, or beat up, or they were someone who got robbed, mugged, or beat up. I mean, it was like going to school in a war zone down there. We may as well be in Baghdad in 2007. But beyond that, I always made sure to park off campus with a pistol in the car. So that way, one, I wasn't breaking the university rules, and two, if anything did happen, I wasn't unprepared. Because the campus would pretty much leave you high and dry if anyone was doing anything. And on top of that, a lot of these dangerous folks would be wandering straight through the campus sometimes, like right in the middle of it. And so, there's no campus police around hardly. They're like nowhere to be seen. And so even
they were actually going around quite a bit. Like they had those little like station things or buttons you could smack or whatever, and they would send like a cop around. But my thing was, I'm like, I'm not waiting for a cop to come running around the corner if somebody runs up trying to like stab me or take my money or something. It's like you gotta be able to like defend yourself, so you can't wait for the cop to come flying in from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that's it's a tough situation, especially if you're on the run from someone. I mean, they could chase you down. So it was tough, but we ended up surviving. We ended up surviving just fine. Luckily, I never got robbed or mugged. Got close that one time, but it was weird. I mean, honestly, if I had to pick going to UAB again, I probably wouldn't. Just because it seemed so unsafe outside of the buildings. Like once you walk down to the street, it was like a GTA 5 online lobby out there. Like anything could happen. But anyways, with that, I hope that does address that well. And we are on to the next one.
All right, and the next one goes to Robert Johnson, who puts in the $5 donation. And thank you very much, Robert, for your support as well and helping to keep the channel running. And we also have a 5 from Badger Bro. Once again, he says, Enforcer, what is your opinion on Turkey's new TF Khan 5th generation fighter? Is it any good?
The Khan, I can't really tell you because we don't really know a lot about the Khan. I don't even think it had its first flight just about a month and a half ago. Here's the only picture we have of the Khan, a flying Khan. It looks a lot like an F-22, at least as far as its airframe and shape goes. It is supposed to be a stealth fighter, from what I understand. Let me make sure. Let's see here. Yeah, it is a stealth fighter. But sadly, I just can't really find a lot about it. We got a couple of pictures, though. Here's another picture of the con right here. I mean, overall, it doesn't look like it would be a bad plane, but once again, we know so little about it right now. We can't really tell how it would stack up against an F-22 or an F-35. We know a lot about the Su-57 and also the J-20 Chengdu, which lets us know how they would pair up against an F-35 or an F-22. But we really don't know a lot about this one to be able to tell. So sadly, I'd have to declare ignorance on that right now, but I do thank you so much for the support and helping this channel to keep on rolling. And once I do get more information, I will try and talk more about the con. But still, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next one is going to go to Carrie Ann LSA, who puts in a $5 donation. It says, doing great as always, guys. And Nick is curious if they have seized any more yachts from Putin's friends recently. LSA for life.
And LSA! And thank you for the support. And from what we hear, no. I haven't heard of them seizing any more yachts. I think they seized all the yachts they could near to the first year of the war, and so it's kind of gotten quiet on the yacht seizure side of things. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel keep on running. And I saw one of our British viewers, Joe Boy, say, I'm glad we don't have guns like that here in Britain. I mean, you know, it's up to you. It's your thing, your opinion. It's a different country. It's a different place. But here in America, I'm very, very, like, I'll be quite honest. I'm very happy that we are able to carry guns because if that guy had a knife on him, when I was about to get robbed and I didn't have a gun or the guy wasn't scared of me having a gun, chances are I probably would have been robbed on the spot, and I didn't even have any money on me in the first place. So I probably would have been stabbed, robbed, and everything in between in the middle of an empty street for nothing. And so I'm really happy that we have guns. In America, of course, it's different in other countries because in the UK, it's a completely different animal. You know, like a lot of people try and compare the United States to Britain and Britain to America and every other country to the United States and America to every other country. But the truth is that every country is so different from each other, you're comparing apples to oranges. So while in Britain, having no guns works fine for y'all, I suppose, in America, it's a really different story, at least in my opinion. But with that, I hope that does address that well, and we are on to the next one.
All right. And also, we have a fellow Birmingham viewer here who's telling the story of his robbery in Birmingham. Just a testament of how dangerous it really is here in Birmingham.
Dude, we said,
got
robbed, and then everyone comes out like they're victims of it. So, I got robbed in Birmingham. It's like, everyone gets robbed in Birmingham.
It's not a question of did you get robbed, when did it happen?
How many times did you get robbed in Birmingham? There's a lot of times. But whatever you do, don't go to Fairfield and don't go to Bessemer. That is literally a death sentence. Just don't go to those places. There are no-go zones in the city. You cannot go to Bessemer or Fairfield, period. But with
all of the entire downtown's a no-go pretty much in downtown Birmingham.
I mean, not that bad. I mean, you know, you can go to Topgolf. Topgolf isn't that bad.
Dude, the hood's like right outside of it. What do you mean?
Yeah, the hood's right outside of it. But, you know, like, they got the little security man running around out there, you know? Like, it's
I'm not trusting that mall cop.
Hey, man, you don't have to trust a mall cop.
Listen to me. When you're making minimum wage, you're not putting your life on the line for, like, the Topgolf security. You're getting your ass up out of there. Some shooting starts going down or something like that.
I respect it if he did. I feel like I respect it.
Yeah, like, I understand. Like, that's why I'm not relying on him.
I mean, you know, true. But that, I mean, you know, Birmingham is largely a no-go area, even in the downtown area. And yes, you can drive through Birmingham, Barry. You can, as long as you don't stop and as long as you keep your car locked. Like, you can drive through. But, you know, that's about all you can do. But with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. And also, damn, like Governor Ivey said, it was a cop impersonator. That tried to, they robbed him. Man, that's wild. Like, you'd be shocked. There's actually a decent amount of like cop impersonators in Alabama. I actually went to high school with a guy who impersonated a cop. He like bought a blacked out Dodge Charger, put lights in it and everything, was pulling people over outside of Montgomery. This is one of the crazy people we went to high school with.
All right, who was that? Don't say his name on air, but who was that? Send that to me over text.
You knew him. We always knew he was a little bit funny, but didn't know he's quite that funny.
Send it to me over text. I gotta know who that was. Like, I never even heard that story.
Yeah, let me send it to you real quick. But let's see. There we go. Yeah, but he'd bought a blacked out Charger, put lights in, was pulling everybody
No
over on the
way!
interstate right outside of Montgomery. Yeah,
No
man, it was him.
way! No way! You can't believe that.
I was like,
really?
what an idiot! Like, what the hell was he doing? He had like the belt on with the pistol, the mace, the baton, the walkie-talkie. He had the whole like kit and kabang going on too. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with him?
Wait a minute, is that the same? Is that the same one that had that thing happen at the gas station?
Yeah, that's the
No
same
way.
one. Yeah, he got in that shootout with the guy at the gas station right before that happened.
Oh my God, no way! That is crazy. It was that guy. I can't believe that. Oh my Lord, that is legitimately insane. I'm actually trying to wrap my head around that. I knew a police impersonator. That is crazy.
I think he's in prison now, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he got charged with impersonating a cop and like several other like charges. They threw the book at him, and I think he's in prison.
Like a felony charge or a misdemeanor?
Oh, felonies.
Oh, no way. That's crazy. I didn't know that. But anyways, I hope y'all are enjoying that story right there, because that is one hell of a story. And I can't even believe it was that guy. But anyways, well,
he's that guy, pal. He was that guy.
Well, I can't believe it was that guy, because like you were saying, Eddie, I mean, the signs were there, but I cannot believe it was that guy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that was just crazy. Like, when I saw the mugshot, I was like, no way. Like, no way. I had to, like, do a double take and go back and ask a couple of people I went to high school with. I'm like, is that really him? And they were like, yep, that's him. I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I always knew he was crazy.
Man, that is actually crazy, man. Like, I don't know why people impersonate cops. I don't know what gets in people's minds. I mean, you know how hard a job of a cop is? Like, it's like, why would you want to impersonate one? I don't know. That stuff's crazy to me. But anyways, with that, I hope that does address that fairly well. And with that, we're on to the next one.
And our next one is going to go to Badger Bro once again, who puts in a $4 donation. And thank you very much, Badger Bro, once more for that support. And of course, we appreciate it very much. And we also have a 5 from CK Bold, who says, take a live chat question. And we shall, CK Bold. It's the usual. And of course, thank you as well. And this question is going to go to Bobo Uzala, who says, has there been any news of more commercial plane accidents? And go LSA.
We haven't heard. Oh, wait a minute. If you're talking about commercial plane accidents in general, there was a 737, I believe, that had its engine cowlings come off here in the United States. But I haven't heard of any air accidents happening inside of the Russian Federation recently, from what I've heard. So, with that, I hope that answers the question well. If you're talking about in general or for Russia, I hope that answers it both ways. But still, thank you so much once again. I hope that does address that fairly well. And let's see. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And also, by the way, the person I went to high school with that did the cop impersonating was not a friend of mine, by the way. I just knew of the guy. Me and Andrew knew of the guy, but he was just a nut. and happened to live not too far away from our house where we used to live back in Montgomery.
Dude, remember? Oh, my goodness. Remember when they dumped their garbage on our freaking street?
Yeah, and also their dad didn't like us very much, apparently, because they came and dumped their garbage right outside of our house, and then we made him come clean it up with a sheriff outside the house. Dude, had his dad come back and start lifting all the leaves and all the trash that he dumped in front of our house, like right in front of the sheriff the whole time.
That was an idiot move. Like, why the hell would you go dump garbage in front of someone's house? But anyway.
And then the son goes and impersonates a sheriff. It's like, damn.
Yeah, and gets in a shootout at a gas station, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some mob crap going on here. They're dumping garbage in front of someone's house to send a message, getting a shootout at a gas station and impersonating a cop. Man, you're talking about a full plate of felonies right there. But anyways, with that, we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Jayhawk, who puts in a $2 donation and says, how many thinks Belarus will invade?
Oh, chances are slim to none these days. If you're talking about invading Poland, chances are actually greater that they do that than invade Ukraine. But even then, we're talking about slim margins here. We're talking about like maybe a 5 to 3% chance of either one happening. But with that, I hope that does address that well. And thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next one goes to No Name, who puts in a 2 and says, Lula, Putin's puppet. Elon and Bolsonaro for Prez, they said.
And thank you for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. And thank you for making it possible. That we're on to the next one.
All right, and that is actually our last super chat to address. So we are now moving into our live chat questions. And up first, we have the Morse code decoders of the stream. Tonight, it was Cliff Simonson, Mark Hodges, Earl Bernew, Paul Schultz, Kevin J., Rumpelstiltskin, David Millsaps, and Toxic Bananas. They said, the Morse for tonight says, let's hope that Ukraine will receive aid very soon to keep the war effort rolling. Long live the LSA.
And ding, that is the sound of money. And y'all got the dead on the nail. That was the jackpot. Y'all got the message dead on. I got to congratulate y'all for doing that. That is truly incredible. And thank y'all so much once again for really putting in some effort there. And absolutely impressive. And I got to thank y'all once again for doing that on the 776th day of the war. And with that, it's time for us to move on into the live chats. We have actually gone pretty far into the stream. It is 3 hours and 23 minutes in. We're almost going overtime. But we will be making sure to answer live chats up until the midpoint of this hour, so for the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to be rounding out tonight's stream. And so with that, we are on to the first one.
All right, and our first one of the night is going to go to Mad Machine, who says, at which point will the deteriorating conditions in Russia cause an uprising against Poopler?
I think an uprising is highly unlikely given the current situations inside Russia, because we would have believed that one would have happened by now, and it doesn't even look like it's still close. But I would say if we had to put a timetable on that, probably within the next 2 years, if things keep going the way they're going, there will probably be large uprisings against the conditions inside of Russia. That would be my assumption. I can't really say when, but I'd say at least within the next 2 years. But with that, I hope that does address that well, and we are on to the next one.
In our next one is going to go to Christian Cruz, who says, isn't there still a red phone on Putin's desk? He said, take a look at the pictures of Putin sitting at his desk, and you might see it.
Wait, reread that one again?
Isn't there still a red phone on Putin's desk, question mark? And take a look at the pictures with him sitting at the desk, and you might spot it.
Let's see here. Putin's desk. He actually has multiple phones on the desk. And so let me show them. Right over there. And then he also has this large, like, command phone down there. I don't know which one would be the red phone. I believe these phones are probably for the Minister of Defense or some other positions in the Russian government. And then probably one of them is for diplomatic calls. For example, calls to France, the United States, and other countries like that. So I hope that addresses that well. I mean, I think that's the best I could do. And also, look at that screensaver. It's a screensaver of the Kremlin. How prototypical. But anyways, I hope that does address that the best I can. He does have a large amount of phones here, but I also believe that the White House desk also has a large amount of phones as well. Oval Office desk. Hopefully I can get one without a sitting president, because, you know, that will start a riot. So let's see here. Let's see. Well, that picture looks fake. This picture looks fake. $6,500 for a fake Oval Office desk? Hell no. Like, no, you couldn't even pay me to take that. Let's see here. All right, so this is the best I can do. Is this picture of the Oval Office desk? It looks like there's 2 phones there. Don't know why there's only 2, because the president of Russia has 4, but it looks like there's 2 phones that we can visibly see, at least within this picture. This one has a main phone on the desk. This looks like a mock-up, though, of the Oval Office, because the dimensions are off, it seems. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see here. There's a phone right there, 1 phone there. So actually it looks like it changes per president. It looks like it alternates in between 2 to 1 phones, from what we can tell. But there's no more than 2, no less than 1. So I hope that does.
I want that desk, though. Where can you buy them?
That desk is drippy as hell. You can actually get one right here for $6,500 as a 1-to-1 replica.
Good. Damn.
Good.
$6,500. Damn. It's a solid wood, though. It might be worth it. That's actually not that bad, really.
I think it is. I think that thing is solid wood right there. Let me actually go and take this off screen.
How'd you even move it?
Dude, you're caving in floors with that thing. Let's see. Wait, hang on. What? It's a replica of the one created from the timbers of the HMS Resolute, given to President Hayes by Queen Victoria, and used by most American heads of state since. A presidential 6 feet in width, this Resolute desk replica is a mahogany masterwork, features hand carving that includes a nothing short of amazing American eagle on Little John Kennedy's opening panel, and an enviable tooled antique brown leather top with gold tooling. This extraordinary Victorian-style piece of furniture boasts letter and file drawers hidden behind doors with metal pulls along 3 shallow drawers up top to hold your mighty presidential pen. So it is made of mahogany, raw mahogany, the entire desk.
Wow, that's impressive. The
Dude,
mahogany, like $6,500 for a mahogany desk like that. That's that's expensive, obviously, but not that bad for what you're getting.
Listen, folks.
Oh, look, it's for sale, like right there.
Yeah, if y'all want to get some furniture, I mean, goodness gracious, this place has a selection of some of the finest furnitures I've seen.
It's got reviews.
Oh,
Scroll down, it's got reviews on it.
5 stars, 2 5 stars.
Damn, that's a trippy office. Like, wait, click on the picture.
Oh my God, that is
Damn.
trippy as hell. I like that.
Yeah, man, what the hell?
I respect this man's commitment to drip. That is a very impressive office right there.
He said, I really hardly write this review because I'm lazy, but I felt this was important. I wanted the desk. We lived down the street from where Teddy Roosevelt lived and died, so the desk was influential. We held off because of the price. Yeah, I understand that. But his price was lower. You finally agreed. Someone talked him into it. You need a big room. Well, they've got it, it looks like. And his desk is huge. The detail's just incredible. Well, geez, man. They saw like glowing reviews over this desk right here.
Yeah, but
someone said this is definitely not a waste of money.
What? Where did they say that? Like,
on the second one.
Let's see. I'll say this is worth much more than Design Toscano post as this is the best deal ever. This is the best deal in the history of trade deals. But hang on, I gotta go look at this. Because this one has 3 stars. What is wrong with this desk? Because it looks good to me. I mean, I wouldn't argue if you gave me this.
Price.
Yeah, the price is steep. Oh no! Cracked marble! Oh my goodness, that is a very big crack too. Oh my lord. But I mean, they're shipping it across country. Oh, so that's the only problem. Is that it had cracked marble. Quit asking me for reviews. Dang.
Damn. They gave him a 1 star because they didn't want to be asked for a review, and then they finally gave one.
Let's see here. This one doesn't even have a review, but they got some really nice furniture on this place. I mean, good lord.
Do they have anything like sub $200 on here?
No. I think the closest they get is Colonnade. Like, but this stuff is extremely expensive, but it looks really nice. I mean, but anyways.
You know the best place for furniture?
Where?
IKEA.
I was about to say rooms to go. Like rooms to go is a good place to go because this is way above the price bracket. I mean, this is wildly expensive, but it does look really nice. I'll give it that, but still wildly expensive. But with that, wait, they have different styles here? What? What the hell? They got gnomes, Greek and Roman,
zombies.
Wow, what? Where do you see that? Hold up there, old
timer. On the main news pages.
Zombies. Where the hell is zombies?
On the right, aliens, UFOs, zombies. Whoa, what the hell is this?
What the hell is this? Huh?
Damn, this is like a little bit good. There's a pen going through a man on that one.
Man,
what are those 2 people doing standing outside looking at it like that for?
I don't know. This is kind of a weird website now. This is weird. I think we're leaving now. But anyways, beyond the presidential desk, we're now seeing that the website's a little odd. But anyways, with that, I hope we were able to address that well. And we're on to the second to last question of the night.
And this one goes to Marvelous Matt, who says, if Ukraine rebuilds its electric plants, won't Russia simply destroy them? And wouldn't it be better to build new plants just over the border outside of Ukraine?
That would be nice, but that means the Ukrainians would have to import their electricity from Poland. That would also be a short-end deal because the Ukrainians would probably want control over their own grids for the most part in the future. So you could hypothetically do that, but it becomes a problem of control and long-term control well into the future. But with that, I hope that does address that fairly well, and we are on to the final question of the night. And so, who is the lucky last person that threw in the lucky last question of the night?
And that viewer is Paul Schultz, who says, with the demise of Wagner, are there other private military companies that might end up operating in Russia to protect Russian companies and businesses?
The only one that we know of is the Gazprom mercenary groups Torch and Flame. And we have not heard about them since the fall of the Wagner. So we don't know if they even exist or not. But if there was any actual candidate to do that kind of a job inside of Russia, it would most likely be Gazprom's Torch and Flame mercenary units that they had in Ukraine during the Battle of Bakhmut earlier on. But once again, we don't know if they exist or not. But that would be my best answer to that question. But with that, we have answered the final question of the night, and it is time for this stream to end. I've got to say that we are entirely honored to have each and every single one of y'all here with us tonight. Tonight, We reached a peak of 8,000 people here at one time, and 55,000 people have watched this stream before it's rounded out. I gotta say that we are entirely honored that we were able to run this stream and tell this news to each and every one of y'all, and we hope that y'all appreciated it and enjoyed it greatly. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, make sure to comment. It helps us all out and makes us really happy to see all of that. And also, if you would like, make sure to stick around, because we run these streams 6 days a week, every single day, but Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, the exact same time every single night. So the time that this stream started tonight, it will start at that exact same time for the next 5 days after today. And then we'll take 1 day off, and then we come right back at it again the next week. We also put out short war summaries as well, which are about 10 to 20 minutes long and cover some of the major events of the war each and every day. Some days we don't make those. The plan is to make those every single day of the week, 7 days a week until the end of the war. But sometimes there isn't enough news out at that point in the day, so sometimes we skip making them because we don't want to give you all filler or fodder. We want to make sure that we give you all high-quality news. And if there is no news, we'd rather have no news than bad news. And so with that, I hope that does address that incredibly well about how this channel runs and what y'all can expect by being here. And of course, to everyone new, welcome to the Lee Spring Army, and welcome to the Enforcer channel. But with that, good night and good luck. Stay safe, take care, Slava Ukraini, and long live the Lee Spring Army. The Lee Spring Army will never die. Put a Lee Spring Army in the chat, and good night.
And also, good night to you all. Thank you all for the great stream, and of course, Slava Ukraine, Herom Slava, and a big shout out to all the LSA members who are going to take us probably over the 186,000 subscriber hill tomorrow. And also a huge shout out to all the trolls and hot dog people that watch as well, because you're helping boost our numbers. We appreciate it a lot. And thank you all. We'll see you tomorrow, and of course, good night.
Yes. The Lee Spring Army sends its regards.
Русский военный корабль. Предлагаю сложить оружие и сдаться. Русский военный корабль, иди нахуй.